each other on immigration. DeSantis getting in on Greg Abbott's thing from Texas, sending immigrants north, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And DeSantis is in a decently close re-election fight at the moment. Shannon, Elon Musk, we found out this week, may be back in on Twitter. We don't know exactly how it's going to play out. A trial about his trying to pull out of buying Twitter was supposed to start in a couple of weeks. That's in flux now. Anyway, some people on the left are worried about Musk taking over Twitter and maybe pushing things to the right. Some on the right say, great, more free speech. Do you spend enough time on there to have an opinion?
Listen, Twitter is a very dangerous place for people. If you have feelings, if you don't, it's fine to go there. I think it's going to be very interesting if Elon is truly going to say, I'm about free speech, and that means I'm not going to do stuff that makes your side happy all the time or makes the other side happy all the time. I'm just going to be sort of a Mad Max situation. You get out there, you fight in the realm of free speech and free ideas. We've seen this with a number of things that he's done that the right hasn't loved as well. So if he's truly going to be a neutral arbiter, I think it will be interesting. We heard so much about the internal meltdown at Twitter from some of the employees who were like, I can't work here. He's a horrible person if he takes over. And, some departures, some high profile ones too. So we'll see, because if he, the conversation always goes back to this. Well, will he let former President Trump back on before the midterms if he takes over? Is that a plus or a minus? There are those who love the president but feel like, his current outpost at Truth Social is preaching to the choir. If you let him back on Twitter, goodness gracious, you couldn't have a plan, because it would all center around what then President Trump had to say on Twitter. And that would drive the news cycle. And for better or worse, it drove people crazy. So does it help the GOP candidates or hurt them if he gets back out there with that megaphone? And will Elon give it to him? These are the questions we stand by for answers.
Shannon Bream, host of Fox News Sunday. Always good to talk to you.
You too. Have a great week.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Here's a message just for the attorneys out there. So you passed the bar, joined a firm, or even built your own. Now are you finding out that you're doing more administration than actual law practice? Lexicon can help. Lexicon is a legal technology provider with over a decade of experience streamlining administrative tasks like timekeeping, billing, and more, so you can focus on maximizing billable hours and increasing client satisfaction. Call 855-4-LEXICON or visit lexiconservices.com/go to learn more.
We tried Dynovite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little Gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynovite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Columbo and Katie.
President Biden will pardon all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possessions. We'll talk about this on Friday with Gabe Pfeiffer and get the weekend weather forecast.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636 441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. As my daughters would say, it's fall, y'all. That means it's the perfect time to call Hanson's. Prime time for Hanson's to come out and do all that fall trimming before winter storms can bring down trees and limbs on the homestead. Get on the Hanson schedule for winter dormant oil applications to protect your trees from insects taking shelter over the winter, and a perfect time for Hanson's to put you on a preventative plant health care program. Everything you need for winter can be found at Hanson's. Hanson'sTree.com.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com.
MVP favorite and a Renaissance man. Oh, and the two aces and queens, yeah, have fun against them. The NL postseason on Fox and FS1. Let's go.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Friday, October 7th. This is the Fox News Rundown. I'm Sue Guzman. A grim morning from President Biden last night. He says the potential for nuclear Armageddon is at its highest level since 1962.
President Biden said Russia's Vladimir Putin is not joking when he talks about the use of tactical nuclear weapons or biological or chemical weapons. The president was at a Democratic fundraiser when he said the nuclear threat from Putin is real because when it comes to the invasion of Ukraine, Russia's military is significantly underperforming. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said last week,
at various points over the course of this conflict, including right at the outset, Putin has brandished the nuclear card. He's doing it again.
Putin said last month, I want to remind you that our country also has various means of destruction. It's not a bluff. In Washington, Jill Nato, Fox News.
President Biden says the administration is considering alternatives after OPEC nations announced a production cut to oil. Fox's Jared Halpern with more from the White House.
President Biden says he's disappointed OPEC plus countries agreed to a 2 million barrel per day cut in oil production.
There's a lot of alternatives. We haven't made up our mind yet.
National Economic Council Director Brian Deese says nothing is off the table, including more releases from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
We're not announcing any steps on that front, but there are measures that we will continue to assess as we go forward.
The U.S. could also lift oil sanctions on Venezuela, though that step would need to be met with conditions from the Venezuelan government, officials say. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The government this morning will be releasing the key jobs report for September.
Economists surveyed by the Wall Street Journal estimate that 275,000 jobs were added in September. The jobs market remains strong, but has shown some recent signs of softening. In August, employers pulled back sharply on hiring, adding 350 15,000 jobs during the month, which was the lowest level in a year. Economists believe the unemployment rate will hold steady at 3.7%. The Federal Reserve is looking for the job market to cool off after Chair Jerome Powell said it was out of balance, and one of the main reasons the central bank is committed to raising interest rates to combat hot inflation. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
With about a month to go before the midterm elections, President Biden is back out on the road today, this time in Maryland. Details from Fox's Gernal Scott.
The president is scheduled to be in Hagerstown, Maryland, speaking at a Volvo plant in the city. A tour of some parts of that plant is expected. Much of the speech is anticipated to center around his legislative accomplishments and his desire to keep majorities in the House and Senate in the coming midterm election. Today's appearance caps off a busy travel week for President Biden. He saw hurricane recovery efforts Monday in Puerto Rico and Wednesday in Florida, and was in New York and New Jersey for several events Thursday. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The trial of the man in the Waukesha Christmas parade attack continues today. It got off to a disruptive start yesterday, as we hear from Fox's Jeff Manasso.
Trial began in Waukesha County Court with a man accused of killing 6 and injuring more than 60 during last year's Christmas parade attack, being kicked out of court for continuously interrupting the judge. Darrell Brooks, in a separate room, later took off his shirt, threatened to throw a shoe, and held a sign in front of him that read, "Objection." Judge Jennifer Doro then brought Brooks back to court for more chaos.
So at this point, Mr. Brooks,
I respectfully object
stop
to
interrupting me, please.
Stop
interrupting me, sir.
Brooks chose to represent himself. He faces 76 charges and life in prison if convicted. The trial is expected to last weeks. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
And it's a full day night of baseball with 4 games today kicking off the postseason.
In the American League, the AL Central champion Guardians will host the Rays starting just after noon Eastern. And in the other American League series, later in the afternoon, the Blue Jays will welcome the Mariners to Toronto. The first National League contest has the Phillies visiting the Cardinals, followed by the nightcap between the Padres and Mets in New York. All 4 series will have Game 2 take place on Saturday, with Game 3s, if necessary, being played on Sunday. And all of the games this weekend will be played at the park of the higher-seeded team. The top 2 seeds in each league, the Astros and Yankees in the American, and the Dodgers and Braves in the National, get first-round byes into division series starting next week. I'm Eric Messersmith, Fox News.
That's a look at what's happening. Have yourself a great weekend. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dial off for you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Hey, Tim Jones here for Rockwood Charcoal. If you love to grill as much as I do, I'm sure you prefer using charcoal over gas. Ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, we're not using anything else. Rockwood's made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and can be found in stores all across the country. It's the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal there is, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business right from my hometown of Eureka. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. All Solutions is the pest control company Christine and I trust with our home because they don't cut corners and they take the time and use the best products available to help protect your home at the highest level possible. Call All Solutions Pest Control today at 636-486-7888 and learn more about our special $67 introductory offer or visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
You have a real choice on November 8th with Robert Crump running for State Representative District 82. Crump will stand up against the killing of unborn children. Crump will oppose the Defund the Police movement. Robert Crump will strongly say no to confiscating guns of law-abiding citizens. Crump will use no nonsense, just common sense. Conservative solutions to solve our city's problems. On Election Day, make your vote count. Vote for Navy veteran Robert Crump for State Representative. Paid for by Citizens for Crump 2022, Mary Teresa McLean, Treasurer.
The candidates.
We're going to win this campaign.
The issues.
Gas prices, Biden inflation.
The election news, analysis, and opinion you won't get anywhere else. Decision 2022 happens.
There's a backlash coming
on News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, many timeshare owners are very upset because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you can trust. For a free consultation, please go to LoneStarTransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. On this Friday, a few years ago, I was promoting my book, Killing the Mob, and I stated that savvy gangsters would be wise to support Joe Biden for president. That's because Mr. Biden was going to reimagine border security and dismantle the inhibitors President Trump had put in place. Thus, narcotics would flood in from Mexico, and the mobsters who are in charge of the distribution, they would make a lot more money. And that's exactly what has happened. Correspondingly, hundreds of thousands of Americans have died from heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine, which are now readily available throughout the country. In addition, thousands of Americans have been murdered by street drug gangs that sell the poison. They fight for turf, shooting at will. President Biden has largely avoided speaking out about this dangerous reality, and his spinners, most notably Vice President Harris, tell Americans the border is secure. Of course, that's a lie, a provable lie. But the Biden administration well understands it can mislead whenever it wants because the national press is in its pocket. Death by gunshot or drug overdose is gruesome. And so is the open border policy President Biden champions. No spin. Back after this. No question, there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. A cooler morning down to around 50 degrees for St. Louis, outlying areas in the 40s. And then a much cooler day. Here comes the big chill. Sweater weather for Friday, 62 for the high. Mostly sunny skies. Going to be a cool one for the Cardinals playoff game, but at least we'll have dry weather and some sunshine. Saturday, 62 for the high. Could see some frost in outlying areas in the morning. Otherwise, lots of sunshine and another cool day. 71 sunshine on Sunday. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
News, analysis, opinion. For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
She will collect you with the carnal stare while you're suspended there.
Some developers say that they can transform part of underdeveloped St. Louis. That sounds great, except some of that bill and a lot of that risk could end up on the backs of taxpayers. Is it worth it? A little bit later on this morning, our friends at the Show Me Institute are going to break down what's proposed, the good, if any, the bad, if any, and the ugly, if any. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. Good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. Happy Friday. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your morning. We really had a tough conversation about what's happening in part of the country already regarding some of the pro-trans activists now saying, you know what, if parents oppose their kids wanting to make this so-called transition, we should be able to just get them out of the house and rehome them. Their words, not mine. Luke's written about this at the Daily Wire, and you can find it at dailywire.com, but here's what he told us about what's happening. Just in the last week or two, we're talking about the state of California, the legislature passing a bill saying if a runaway kid who wants to be trans gets across the border, the state can become their guardian, essentially. And now we've got, school districts that are saying, if you want to identify as something differently, we're not going to tell your parents because they might not like it, and we want to affirm. But literally now there is a movement or a push to use their words, rehome children if the parents don't want them to be allowed to live as the opposite gender. Am I close? Am I keeping up with this?
Yeah, there's a group here in Virginia called the Pride Liberation Project, and it said if you're facing familial rejection or you need to leave their home for another reason, we can provide you with emergency housing from a supportive, queer-friendly adult. Please note, this adult will likely be white. We anticipate we can secure someone to take you in within 1 to 2 days, and we will work with other supportive adult organizations in the region to find you someone who can provide you a kind and affirming home. So this is kind of like the posters you see in classrooms all over America where they say, if your mom won't accept you for who you are, I'm your mom now. And they're basically, we don't know what's going on in these kids. I doubt that many kids are in abusive homes or even homes where people are, really anti-gay. It's probably just parents saying, well, kids, you want to talk? So it seems like something's going on. And these kids are basically told that, everyone's against them. You can't trust your parents. And if your parent has the slightest problem with anything that you're doing, then we're just going to kind of send an Uber to your house and pay you to start a new life. And they talk about using the Democratic platform Act Blue to raise thousands of dollars to just give to kids who say that they're gay or trans and want to leave their parents and start a new life.
So rehome is basically another word for kidnapping.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty hard to differentiate between sex trafficking. I mean, they talk about, well, maybe you could just go live, we'll find you a college student. You could live on their couch for a while. Like, you can't have a 15-year-old go sleep with, a 20-year-old or a teacher or someone else, and their parents are looking for them, and you are harboring them. I mean, you can be arrested for that. These kids cannot be harbored by other adults without the parents' permission. And yet we are seeing this over and over again. And, there's numerous adults involved in this Pride Liberation Project group, including the chair of the National Association of School Psychologists LGBTQ committee. So when they're saying, if you want to leave home, consult these resources, the first thing they do is they say, call this lady up. And so this lady says, I will not deny the fact that I've put parents in their place in my office or at school. People around me go, can you do that? And I go, I don't know, but I just did. If I'm not here tomorrow, you know that I can't. Sometimes you have to break rules to do good for kids. So she says, I want to see kids in a home with food and shelter and insurance and support, but I also don't want to lose kids to death. There comes a point, unfortunately, where many of these kids have to make a choice between their life and their family. And so they're talking about, basically the kids are going to commit suicide unless we take them from their parents. But what's interesting is this group had a protest, a walk out of school in Virginia. And we have the talking points. They have written talking points that they told the kids to say. And what they're actually telling them to talk about suicide all the time. So, if these trans kids are talking about suicide, it seems like they're told to say that by activists, number one. And number two, if any of them actually are suicidal, it may be because these activists are telling them that they're basically Nazis out to kill them around every corner, and anywhere there's a Republican, they want them dead. You look at how they describe the policy in Virginia that they're protesting, and they describe it in such overheated terms that really make no sense. And they're basically telling these kids, the kids believe they're unsafe because activists are telling them to feel unsafe. And that's one of the things that really bothers me is these are, especially the psychologist lady, they should be wanting to make kids happy, not instilling a sense of depression and anxiety in them. And that's kind of what I see when I look at these internal materials that the Daily Wire obtained from this group.
Good morning, Luke. Gabe Pfeiffer here. My main question is in the legality of all this. I mean, usually it would take a Department of Family Services or something like that. There's a reasonable suspicion, an investigation. Children are removed from the home, adjudicated. There's usually a process by which kids are removed from homes that are considered dangerous places. But this just sounds like people facilitating runaways. And my understanding is that is illegal. So how is this group getting away with even promoting such a thing?
I mean, they've basically decided that any rules or laws they don't like are just anti-trans, and so they can exempt themselves from them. Laws are probably just made by, people that are evil and hate gays. And so they really gloat a lot about how the different laws don't apply to them. And basically, what are they going to do about it is what they say about a lot of things, including, having teachers defy the new law here in Virginia that says, you can accommodate transgender kids in school. You just need you need to get their parents' permission. So they say, well, we're just not going to do that. It doesn't matter. There's a tremendous sense of brazenness to it. And again, I mean, this lady, Amy Canava, she's a very prominent national psychologist. She travels the country. She actually trains school psychologists all over the country on LGBT issues. And she's the one talking about how, sometimes just you have to take a kid away from their parents or else they'll kill themselves. So, it is really just invoking that sense of the death of a child. So once you put that on the table, anything, they feel like anything is justified. But yeah.
Good morning, Luke. This is Ken Williams. Is there any age limit, any limitations that this program has with the kids?
I don't know. I mean, they bill it as a youth group, but then you look at who's actually talking in the internal message boards, and there's adults involved. They have a pride prom where, they say, you can bring someone up to 20 years old, if you're 15. But it is.
What about the youngsters though? The real young ones? What's like the earliest?
I don't know. I mean, I've listened to a lot of podcasts from this lady, and it's pretty creepy. I mean, in one of them, she's talking about this guy that has fetal alcohol syndrome, and he transitioned when he's 11 years old. And so you're talking about someone with reduced mental facilities who's also very young. And just basically, I mean, she says at one point that if you're 1 or 2 or 3 years old, you have the capacity to know what gender you are. And so, it's basically, there's no limit to it. But yeah, it is pretty creepy. I mean, this school psychologist lady says, I identify as queer, but I'm attracted to a very small but growing percentage of the population. more trans-masculine, non-binary folks who may or may not like women. So when she's talking about trans-masculine folks, she's talking about people that are kind of look manly but not really. And then meanwhile, she's saying, well, I had a record day where 5 kids came out to me. And I said, this is amazing. Most of the time it's like, I think I'm trans, which really means I am trans.
And when you talk about the prom there, if you're 15, you can bring somebody up to 20. That's a word that we've used around here before called grooming.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
Yep.
On that. Yeah, the 2 articles that you can find right now at Daily Wire, top national school psychologist, part of group offering to resettle gay kids with new parents. And there's another investigation story, pro-trans group behind Virginia school walkout plans to rehome gay kids who hate their parents. You can find that all at the Daily Wire, written by Luke Rosiak. Hey, Luke, I appreciate the work that you did on this and for being on the program here.
Thanks for having me.
My God, that is sick. Anyway, dailywire.com and just look up Luke's writing and you'll find those articles. All right, just ahead, we're going to get the day started with the news roundup right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Sunday is the Freedom Fest barbecue hosted by the St. Louis Young Republicans. We'll talk to the Young Republicans president, Frank Candizzaro, Friday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
The Range St. Louis West is Missouri's best indoor shooting range. With 20 climate-controlled lanes, over 70 firearms available to rent, and the best staff in the business, you're guaranteed to enjoy every minute of your time with us. Our impressive showroom is full of the latest and greatest offerings from the best manufacturers in the business. Need an optic, spare magazines, holster, or any other accessory? Let our professional staff help you find exactly what you need and get it installed for you. Mention you heard us on News Talk STL and save $100 on your membership and enjoy even more goodies. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of 3 ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a US-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega Watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now, 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I got a feeling we're going to have some spicy conversations today.
Spicy
conversations because we're going to talk about drugs. We're going to talk about drugs.
All right.
Oh, goodness. All right. That's just one of the things coming your way here this morning. How about this? There is a possibility of a big development in North City. North City obviously needs some development. This time we're talking about the area right along the riverfront. But here's the thing. The developers and some folks in City Hall want to put taxpayers on the hook for some of the cost and some of the risk. but it's got to be done. And the developers may say, well, if we don't get some guarantees or supports or breaks or incentives, just may not be able to do it. Think about all those jobs you're going to lose. So we're going to get the perspective from the Show Me Institute at 7:05. They do a lot of great work when it comes to this sort of thing. Such a great idea that we need other people to pay for it.
Yeah, and I mean, and also giving those breaks to the corporations to the point of where they don't pay anything into the city, and it's almost like they're just, they're draining the city, but they don't give anything back. That's one of the big problems that St. Louis has right now. They're never getting a big return on their taxes.
Yeah, so David Stokes is going to break down what is and is not being considered for that particular deal. I hate corporate welfare. I absolutely hate corporate welfare and cronyism. So we'll get to that, like I said, 7:05. Also, how about this? And this is something you are rarely going to hear anybody say on News Talk STL. And I'm just asking a question, and I'll start with the story here in just a moment. Did Joe Biden get something right?
Maybe.
What? Maybe. Maybe. All right, well, give me about 30 seconds. I'll get to that in a minute here. And also a little bit later on, St. Louis County Police pick sides in the race for county executive. Tell you who they picked at about 6:20. So a lot going on today. All right, but let me start with that first question. And this is what we'll be talking about. By the way, we're going to start conversations at 6:05. 314-912-1019. President Biden using the power of the pardon to do away with some low-level marijuana convictions. Fox News' Lauren Blanchard has more.
President Biden has wiped clean some simple marijuana possession convictions. His pardon only applies to federal convictions and those in Washington, D.C. It does not apply to other charges. It's also only for those who were legal residents when convicted. The president says the pardon will help many gain access to employment, housing, education, and even out racial disparities. The president called on governors to pardon similar state convictions. The Health and Human Services Secretary and Attorney General have been directed to review how marijuana is classified federally. It's a Schedule I drug, meaning a dangerous substance.
Okay, now some opponents say the president's approach to marijuana is too lax. That's just, come on, guys. They say the drug is far more powerful now than it has been in previous decades, which actually there is some truth to that. But at 6:05, let's really get into this. Do you agree or do you disagree with pardoning the possession and use charges? And should governors follow suit? Should J.B. Pritzker, should Mike Parson follow suit? I'm really curious as to what people think about that. I know Gabe's got strong opinions on that.
Yeah,
so
he does.
6:05. And then I come to the question, did Joe Biden actually get something right? Is this a case of you throw enough mud at the wall, something sticks, or is he even messing this up? So we'll get that conversation. I'm really curious what people have to say about that. Updated monkeypox numbers show that about 2/3 of the known cases in Missouri are here in the St. Louis metro area. Yeah. Now, statewide, there aren't that many cases, but the number of cases is on the rise specifically here, which means there are some dudes that know the risk that just aren't heeding the risk and chilling out for a little bit. Dummies.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Dummies.
I mean, they know everything about it, and just oh well.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple. I mean, but I've got more details on that still ahead here. Okay, so this is an interesting situation here. The FBI, possibly, according to a report out of Washington, D.C., could be getting ready to file charges against Hunter Biden. Now, don't get too excited. We're not talking about the big deals with international businesses and stuff. But Fox's Brooke Singman has the initial report.
A former Justice Department official tells me that an outcome in the years-long investigation into the first son could be imminent. Hunter has been under federal investigation into his overseas business dealings since 2018. Fox News first reported that federal prosecutors are weighing a number of possible charges against Hunter Biden, including a failure to pay income tax, money laundering, various tax crimes, and lying when buying a gun. Hunter Biden's attorney responding, quote, "It is a federal felony for a federal agent to leak information about a grand jury investigation such as this one. We expect the DOJ will diligently investigate and prosecute such bad actors."
I love that response. But you're a tattletale. essentially, is what his lawyers are arguing.
Right.
Tattletale. Nobody likes a tattletale, dude.
I think at some point, you have to say, as people viewing as the voyeurs of this whole thing, okay, I'll get it and I'll follow it when I see some results, because right now all it's going to be is he's going to pay a fine. From what I read so far, the result of this is he's probably going to pay a fine.
Yeah, I mean, if any one of us were facing these charges,
Mike,
this would be a big deal.
We'd be in jail right now.
Yeah, this would be a really big deal. But for Hunter Biden, my guess is they're trying to navigate how do we not ignore overwhelming evidence, according to what we're being told, but still try to keep it from getting to where it hurts the president and the elections coming up. I think that's probably where the discussion is.
Yeah, in the article that I read, it actually says that there are certain things that come into play here when it's a extra politically sensitive situation. No.
Yeah.
If it's a crime, the guy should pay his price.
If he committed the crime, he committed the crime.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Crimes, sorry, plural.
Yeah, well, there are a lot more than we even know.
Oh, goodness. So that's going to be a fascinating situation. All right. See what else? Oh, this is during UPS is hiring. They've got a job fair happening today and tomorrow. Across the country, UPS is looking at hiring tens of thousands of people.
Wow.
I mean, they need package handlers, they need drivers, they need a little bit of everything. So the job fairs are at 520 Jefferson Avenue in the city today and tomorrow. You can also go look at upsjobs.com if you're looking for something seasonal in particular. I mean, they're hiring for longer term than that, but seasonal jobs. So a lot of people can go out there and get a job right now.
I remember back in my early 20s, it was like a really special thing to become a UPS driver, and you made top dollar.
Yeah, those guys make pretty good money, exactly. All right, baseball playoff starts. Playoff baseball starts this afternoon for the Cardinals. First pitch against Phillies, 1:07. That game's on ABC nationwide, so it's Channel 30 here, obviously. The entire series is at Busch Stadium. All right, just ahead, did President Biden get it right when he's pardoning low-level marijuana offenses? Want to know what you think. 314-912-1019.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Jim Talent.
We live in an age where saying common sense things is considered to be controversial or even revolutionary. Like, we need oil and gas. Yeah, I think we do. Or maybe we shouldn't shut down the schools. Maybe it's not a really great idea when troubled teenagers come in and just to rush to pump them full of drugs.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. President Biden says it's been a long time, 60 years to be exact, since the threat of nuclear Armageddon has been this high, saying that Vladimir Putin wasn't joking when talking about using nukes in Ukraine. Biden tells a Democrat fundraiser, "We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis." Up almost 2.5 cents since yesterday. Gas prices continue to climb. AAA's national average as of this morning, $3.89 a gallon. Pump prices expected to continue rising now that OPEC will cut oil production by 2 million barrels a day. President Biden's reaction?
Disappointment, and we're looking at what alternatives we may have.
And apparently that includes easing sanctions on Venezuela's dictatorship in a bid to get more oil from there. Republicans argue for getting more oil from here at home. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa seeking a probe of the FBI.
Grassley wants the investigation after a whistleblower alleged that an internal review found 665 FBI personnel have resigned or retired to avoid accountability and misconduct probes over the past 2 decades. The whistleblower told Grassley, the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee, that the Justice Department launched the review of the FBI's disciplinary database in 2020 following an investigation into sexual misconduct allegations involving at least 6 senior FBI officials. Keith Peters reporting.
No confirmation from his office of reports that GOP Senator Ben Sasse plans to resign in December. How did the job market fare in September? We'll find out in less than 2 hours. The government to release last month's employment report later this morning. Dow futures are up 16 points. NASDAQ futures down 48. More on these stories. Townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at ReliefFactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com. Be the next success story.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's a little busy eastbound on 270 at Lindbergh. They've picked up some overnight construction, but they were out there until the top of the hour. So it's still, like we said, a little crowded. Otherwise, things are in good shape. Poplar Street Bridge traffic downtown looks fine. No major issues. This report is sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Definitely a cooler day today with mostly cloudy skies at times and 61 degrees. It'll be about 60, give or take, at the ball game this afternoon. Skies will clear tonight and it will get cold. Frost advisory up for the entire metro area as temperatures will approach at the freezing mark. We'll be in the mid-30s to near 40 degrees in metropolitan St. Louis, but some patchy frost certainly possible tonight. A high on Saturday of 63 degrees. The game on Saturday evening will be in the 50s. The high on Sunday, 72, and dry all weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by House Sold Easy. Looking to sell a house fast? Call David today at 314-293-3000. That's David with House Sold Easy at 314-293-3000.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
The news and talk.
Inflation remains well above 2%.
We do expect we're going to be in for tougher times ahead.
That matters to St. Louis.
Raised interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I am a young, vibrant man.
Gabe Pfeiffer. I'm Batman.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up!
We can't rebuild our economy and meet this climate crisis.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, I think we just opened up the phone lines. Get ready for the can of worms here, just in case anybody's interested. At 314-912-1019. All right, I'm going to ask the question, and then I'm going to duck.
Okay.
Did Joe Biden get something right? Ducking! Okay, 314-912-1019.
I mean, it's entirely possible, right?
Well, I mean, out of the thousands of decisions an administration makes, is it possible that one of them was correct? Do you agree or do you disagree on this? Okay, so what happened is on Thursday, Joe Biden pardoned thousands of Americans convicted of possession of marijuana if they were prosecuted at a federal level. I mean, we're talking, use and possession for yourself. We're not talking about like high-level drug dealers or at least people not caught with that. So Fox News' Peter Ducey has more from the White House.
President Biden says he doesn't think anybody should be in jail for using or possessing marijuana. So aboard Air Force One, he signed a pardon for anyone convicted of those offenses. It's interesting because none of the 6,500 people this impacts are in federal custody. Many, many more, though, in state and local custody. So he is urging state and local officials to issue the same kind of pardon. Officials are telling us at the White House the president is just delivering on a campaign promise, and this isn't timed to the upcoming midterms.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure, it has nothing to do with that. Well, here's part of what the president had to say when he was announcing these pardons.
No one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. It's already legal in many states, and criminal records for marijuana possession have led to needless barriers to employment, to housing, to educational opportunities.
Okay, so I'm not going to say this very often, but he's correct.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and this seems to follow along in actually a track that had started under President Trump, where they're kind of reevaluating at the federal level what the lives of these convicts are going to look like.
Now, what this I just want to make sure everybody understands. This is not a pardon for everybody with a marijuana conviction in the country. This is only people who were convicted in federal court, because the president does not have. Well, I guess he kind of does have jurisdiction over everything regarding other things. I guess he could, in theory, pardon people convicted in other places, but that I don't know that that's ever happened. So he's calling on governors to do what he just did. So he's calling on J.B. Pritzker and he's calling on Mike Parson to also pardon everybody, blanket pardon everybody who is convicted of using or possessing small amounts of marijuana. So this affects only those convicted in federal court and all of the local cases in Washington, D.C., because obviously the federal government has jurisdiction over Washington, D.C. Okay, did he get this right?
I think that, to be in jail for marijuana use, I mean, if you're not dealing, I think it's fine. I don't think a person should be in jail for that.
So, I mean, I'm trying to get Ken to actually say the words. Did Joe Biden get it right?
It's hard.
I really
it's very difficult.
I'm watching him struggle.
No, if I were an employer,
right?
Okay, and I had an employee that did everything wrong all the time, but this one time,
that's right,
they got something right. Do I still fire him? I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess I do. But yes, he did get it right.
Yeah, I honestly think he did in this case as well. Gabe, did he get it right?
Well, at a party,
yes,
you have a piñata, and you grab a drunk guy,
right,
with like a physical ailment.
Mm-hmm.
You put a blindfold on him and you hand him a stick and you spin him around, and he flails wildly. He's at least going to hit the piñata once.
Yes,
I think Joe hit the piñata.
Yeah.
So you're saying
I'm saying
he got this one right, because I just don't want to see people. People will have opportunity to get a job, get back on track. These things they shouldn't be in jail for a simple usage crime. Now, if they're dealing, they need to stay.
So 314-912-1019. Okay, I'm just going to kind of read off some of the arguments against what we're saying right now. And I know there are people who are angry that we are saying that Joe Biden is right, but I'm worried about the issues and I'm worried about the policies, and we can talk about the politics, but if he gets it right, he gets it right. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Now, don't get me wrong. He gets it wrong 99.99% of the time.
Right.
And I've seen people, I've seen some people say he's just doing this because the elections are coming up.
Maybe.
Well, maybe both of those things can be true at the exact same time.
Oh yeah.
This absolutely could be a political ploy to appeal to younger folks, people who are affected by drug cases, things like that. Absolutely, it could, but that didn't change the fact that I think, from a policy perspective, I think it's correct.
You are correct. Two things can happen at the same time. And also, I thought Hillary Clinton was the pander queen, whatever. Joe Biden's the pander king. So, and he's going to do whatever he can and turn any which way possible to get that vote. And that's one of the things he's doing.
He learned that when he was being raised by Puerto Ricans.
That's what I mean.
In the black church.
Yes. Going to shul on
Sabbath.
Yeah. On the Sabbath, and then, hanging out.
And he rode that 18-wheeler that's
driving the 18-wheeler, hanging out with Corn Pop.
Now, here's some other things I've seen. Like, for instance, some of our friends, who have been on the show a lot from, saying that, some of these cases have been pled down from something else. So really, he's pardoning people who should have been convicted of bigger offenses. I have no doubt that that's true. That in some cases, somebody pled down from a distribution to a simple possession or something like that.
No.
Well, but that's the way the system works. It is absolutely ludicrous to me that anybody faces jail time for smoking a plant that grows in the ground and is native to the United States soil. That to me is just plain silly. Now, I've heard other people argue that the marijuana out there today is far more powerful and far more, in some cases, psychedelic. Apparently, they've got strains of marijuana that you can buy over, in Sauget and probably soon throughout Missouri that I guess will really mess you up. Okay. But that's what we've chosen, to make legal. I still think it's absolutely silly that somebody having some of that for their personal use or actually using it should be something that they should fear going to jail for. I think that's just nonsense.
You have various beverages that have a certain level of alcohol. One might have 5%, one might have 80% alcohol, one might have 172. I mean, They don't say, well, you can't have this because you didn't reach this level. So they shouldn't be able to regulate marijuana that way.
So from a policy perspective, the pardons, especially, if you go to jail because of something having to do with alcohol, it's because you did something criminal with that, not just drinking a beer.
No.
Not just taking a shot. But in this particular case, I think it is a good precedent. Should governors follow suit? I'd love to see it. I think some will. I imagine the majority will not, because they'll leave it to the legislatures to do that. But as Peter Ducey pointed out, I don't think there's anybody in jail in federal prison for simple pot possession. I don't think it's like, what are you in for? It's some federal hooscow somewhere. It's like, yeah, I had a doobie in college. They're not there.
No.
But the convictions being pardoned and expunged does, probably open up a lot of doors for somebody who otherwise would qualify, for them, whether it is a job or whether it is, some sort of grant or scholarship or something like that.
I imagine more than anything, it's a federal signal to the states to actually start exploring these things.
Yeah.
As opposed to it's actually going to release a whole bunch of people who were convicted. Like you said, I think most people who caught a simple possession charge at the federal level have some litany of other crimes that is going to keep them in prison. It's just that this one thing is is now gone away. But the federal signal to the states, I think, is probably the most important.
And the other thing is that he's saying, remember, marijuana at the federal level is considered a Schedule I drug. So it's literally in the same category as heroin.
Right.
It's literally listed as more dangerous than fentanyl. And so that's insane.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, what were the people smoking when they came up with that schedule?
Mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. So he's telling the Department of Justice and to look at rescheduling that. That's correct. Listen, I don't say it often, but if he got it right, he got it right. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah.
We got plenty of time to talk about that. We will have time to talk about that this morning right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL 620. St. Louis County Police pick sides in the race for county executive. I'll tell you who they picked.
Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Stop it right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Want to give me more information
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We do have a report of a crash on 67 southbound before the Lewis Bridge. It sounds like that vehicle's off the roadway, but watch out for fire, EMS, and Highway Patrol responding. We have a little heavy traffic eastbound 270 between McDonald and Lindbergh, but that's opening up. We had some overnight road work that picked up about 5 past the hour, so things should be okay now. This report is sponsored by InvisibleFence.com. Invisible Fence brand's mission is to keep pets happy and safe with their forever families. Their exclusive technologies make their containment systems the most advanced on the market, giving your pet freedom to enjoy their yard and giving you confidence in their safety. Visit InvisibleFence.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michael's. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
The Marshall Tucker Band, the 50th anniversary tour, this Saturday night at 7, the Family Arena. The Marshall Tucker Band. With Pure Fairy League and Atlanta Rhythm Section. Reserve seats on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster. The Marshall Tucker Band, the 50th anniversary tour.
It's the Sail On Tour 2022, starring Orleans, Firefall,
You are the woman that I've always dreamed of.
Peter Beckett, the voice of Flair, John Ford Coley, Walter Egan, and the Babies with Sail On Tour 2022. Saturday, October 15th at the Family Arena. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
President Biden had a hot mic moment on Wednesday when he was overheard telling the mayor of Fort Myers Beach that no one messes with the Biden, only in non-FCC friendly language. It wasn't the coarseness of the language that got folks talking so much as it was the premise. To the extent we're talking about foreign adversaries, I wish that were the case, but coming on the heels of OPEC's decision to cut oil output by 2 million barrels a day, Vladimir Putin's nuclear threats, and Kim Jong-un's aggressive missile launches, it seems that perhaps some quarters of the world haven't gotten Joe's memo. On the other hand, the president's domestic adversaries, otherwise known as political opponents, will receive swift retribution for daring to challenge his administration or the preferred narrative of the day. Challenge your local school board? Get labeled a domestic terrorist. Protest outside an abortion clinic? Get a visit from the FBI. Question the 2020 election? Get your phone confiscated. Ask a pressing question as a journalist? Get shooed out of the room. Dare to support Biden's predecessor? Well, you're a semi-fascist threat to democracy, you monster. Indeed, no one, at least no American, puts Biden in a corner. Other than perhaps Wandering Joe himself.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
America's talking to Fox News.
Fall means the return of chilly weather and spooky season for many people. What are your favorite autumn activities?
Fall is the best time of year.
We read leaves and pumpkin milk.
Watching scary movies and decorating for Halloween, and I like making pumpkin goodies.
It's just so exciting to dig in the leaves.
Looking at the decorations families have done.
So my favorite fall activities are definitely taking my son pumpkin picking and apple picking and just kind of being outside, being able to play in the leaves. I'm really looking forward to taking my son up to go to Salem.
All of like the pumpkins and the spice and going to do different things with family and friends and just actually the cooler weather.
My favorite fall activity that I get to do every year is celebrating my wife's birthday, which is in October. I usually want to do something Halloween-y or autumn related, so I usually go along with it and don't complain to make her happy. But we do always plan that month to go pumpkin picking.
America's talking to Fox News.
Gotta love the weather this time of year, without a doubt.
I felt that last guy.
Yeah.
I just do it to make. I don't complain to make her happy.
Do something Halloween-y.
Halloween-y.
Yeah.
It's her birthday month. We're gonna do some fall crap. I don't like it, but I'm not gonna say anything because I want her to be happy. That's what
Whatever it is.
My wife makes the best hot cider.
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you. Actually, I think you guys may have had it last year at the party over at our house.
I think I did.
Yeah, she makes the best hot cider. So it's about that time. Of course, we love just like turning on the fireplace. I think once we do that, we're like, yes, it's fall. We love that.
We've got a really big pit in the middle of our yard for fires, and man, that's just the time of year. And I've actually been saving up wood for that. Over the summer.
That's the way to do it. Exactly. All right, 6:23. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer and Ken Williams here on this Friday. The St. Louis County Police Association, which is FOP Lodge 111, has made their pick in the county executive race. They are fully behind Mark Mantovani.
There we go.
To challenge Sam Page.
Let's go.
Yep. According to the press release that they sent me yesterday, they say, and I'm quoting them here, the number one issue facing St. Louis County is crime, and according to FBI statistics, violent crime in St. Louis County has doubled over the past 10 years. They go on to say Proposition P, passed in St. Louis County in April of 2017, was 63% of the vote to support public safety and address the county's crime issue, first as county chair and then as county executive. Sam Page has led the effort in diverting Proposition P funds from voter-approved purposes and to other areas of county government. And again, I'm reading from the St. Louis County Police Association statement by Joe Patterson. He says voters were promised Proposition P funds would be used to place 2 officers in a car in high crime areas and to build police stations in North and South County.
Yep.
To date, that has not happened.
And do you guys remember that? I'm glad you brought that up because that was a big deal to me at the time. And it passed and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually voted against it because I knew this was going to happen.
Really?
Yep.
See, that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of these things, that is a valid reason to be skeptical of these things, because it's like, but this is the goal. Everybody agrees on that. Yeah, but do you actually trust the local government to do it?
And I did not. And I said, you're just going to appropriate a whole bunch of money to do stuff I don't want, and it's not going to improve. And then you're going to come back to me again and say, oh, we still need more money for crime prevention because look at crime. It's like I'm not getting caught in that trap. So
let me also point out that it's pretty gutsy for the police officers to take a stand against the guy in charge of the county.
Absolutely,
that's really gutsy.
That's good.
So
though.
I think that's a really interesting development. By the way, next I think it's Tuesday. Jane Duker going to be on the show with us again.
Okay.
As well. All right. It is 6:25. That's Gabe. That's Ken. Got some new numbers and an update on the, well, you know what I'm talking about here. And it's not good.
Monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox.
The good news is that they're really...
Yeah.
The good news is that there really aren't that many cases of monkeypox. This is not a big pandemic. Okay,
No.
Around the country, there are something like 26,000 cases around the country that we know of. But interestingly, over the past month, the numbers have been level or even going down because apparently a bunch of guys were like, I think I'm going to not accept that invitation to that party for a little while. Some of them.
Yeah.
However, here in St. Louis,
because we're smart.
2/3 of the cases in Missouri are in St. Louis, and the numbers are going up here. So there's a bunch of dudes that aren't getting the message, and you're being dumb, and you're thinking with the wrong head. Can I say that? I can't say that, Ken. I probably shouldn't say that.
I don't know.
Accurate.
Yeah.
It was accurate, though.
So here's what's going on. There are now 52 cases that are confirmed and basically probable, which means we know what it is. We're just waiting on the lab test to come back. So 52 cases reported as of Thursday by the St. Louis Department of Health. We're talking about the city. Now that's up from 2 weeks ago. And so we don't know about anybody else who's in that lag period to where they've been infected, but they haven't had symptoms yet. A total of 28 cases are diagnosed in St. Louis County. And 10 of those cases have again happened in the last 2 weeks. So there's actually been an uptick in St. Louis County, St. Louis Metro, city and county, which is now between that and the 1 in Jefferson County. You now are looking at 2/3 of the entire cases in the state of Missouri. And there's no reason for this. No reason whatsoever for this to be going up at all.
Yeah.
So the news article that I found on this points out that there have been thousands of vaccines given at health departments, and there was a big Pride event at Tower Grove not too long ago, and so they're doing all that. 97% of the cases are men. They do remind everybody in this article, to their credit, they're saying anybody can get monkeypox, okay? But
sure, it's possible.
It's possible, but men who have sex with men are the ones who are primarily at risk. I'm going to guess that 3% of women who have been confirmed with monkeypox probably have it because their husband or their boyfriend who's on the DL brought it back home from someplace.
And I would say probably that 3% is divorcing.
Yes. If not, they should be.
Yeah.
So, guys, I don't know how many times we can say it. live your life, man, but just chill out. This is ridiculous. First of all, the fact that there aren't that many numbers is really a good thing, but it's ridiculous that any of the arrows are going up when it comes to something that is so easily avoided. So easily avoided,
Monkeypox, oh monkey, monkeypox, oh monkeypox.
All right, 6:35. We got our good friend Paul Kurtman going to be with us, and at 6:50, there's an interesting list I saw. It said, what are the things that some people tend to brag about that they really shouldn't brag about? And they went down the list. It's one of those BuzzFeed Reddit things. And I'm like, oh, I know people who do that. So let's compare notes at 6:50. But before that, we got our freedom fighter friend, Paul Kurtman, with us right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Listen to this noise coming out of the White House.
Live and local.
We need to get the message to people who are not being helped by Democrats.
Ron DeSantis showed people the back of his hand.
This is News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Months after St. Louis County teenager Tyree Sampson fell to his death from an Orlando thrill ride, the company that operates the attraction has announced it will be torn down. In a statement yesterday, Orlando Slingshot said that it will take down the 400-foot-tall Orlando free fall ride at Icon Park. Some residents in South St. Louis were asked to evacuate after a gas main was hit yesterday morning. The St. Louis Fire Department said a construction crew was working on a rain garden in the 4100 block of Louisiana Avenue when they hit a gas main and a large amount of gas began leaking. The Best of Missouri Market returns to the Missouri Botanical Garden today through Sunday and will feature 130 of the region's finest artisans, crafters, and food and beverage producers. There will also be live music and a 2-acre kids' corner. Anheuser-Busch announced yesterday the birth of 2 new Budweiser Clydesdale foals at the Warm Springs Ranch. A colt and a filly were born at the breeding and training facility in Boonville, Missouri. And in sports, the Cardinals face the Phillies at Busch today to open the playoffs in the best-of-3 wildcard round. First pitch is at 1:07 p.m. And in preseason hockey last night, the Blue Jackets shut out the Blues 7-0 in Columbus. The Blues have changed the start time of Saturday's preseason game against the Blackhawks to accommodate the Cardinals' playoff game. Saturday's Blues game will now start at 2 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Doing pretty well this morning. We've just had one incident reported. It's southbound on 67 at the Lewis Bridge, but it's not affecting any traffic lanes, just a vehicle off the roadway. Otherwise, things are fine. Everything downtown is still in good shape. We have no major headaches right now. This report sponsored by the USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Definitely a cooler day today with mostly cloudy skies at times and 61 degrees. It'll be about 60, give or take, at the ball game this afternoon. Skies will clear tonight and it will get cold. Frost advisory up for the entire metro area as temperatures will approach at the freezing mark. We'll be in the mid-30s to near 40 degrees in metropolitan St. Louis, but some patchy frost certainly possible tonight. A high on Saturday of 63 degrees. The game on Saturday evening will be in the 50s. The high on Sunday, 72, and dry all weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
10-year-old George Haruza and his parents, with only what they could carry in a suitcase, made a daring escape from behind the Iron Curtain of communism. George Haruza and his family risked their lives fleeing communist oppression to secure the freedom and promise of America. George Haruza quickly learned English, studied hard, and worked harder. Overcoming every hurdle in his way, George Haruza is now a world-renowned surgeon, educator, and physician leader.
So I do believe in a limited government. Governments should provide for the people who are really in need, encourage everybody else to rise up to their potential, and then mostly get out of the way.
Now, George Haruza wants to bring his record of getting good things done to the state Senate. And George Haruza understands the mission. George Haruza for State Senate, a record of getting good things done. Paid for by Haruza for Missouri.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kenny Zhu, president of Color Us United.
Race became a profitable industry. That's what happened. Racial victimhood. We all believe in civil rights, but then there are people who actually profit off of racial victimhood in this country. Diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, the new hot thing in companies is a $10 billion plus industry.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You ever been around somebody who just can't read the room?
Yeah.
And who says, these are the boundaries of good taste. Let me take a good long run and jump over it in conversation. Well, somebody asked people to make a list, and they kind of compiled the top 10 or 15 things that people should never brag about. And 650, I've got that list. We don't have time to go through all of it, but a few of these, I'm reading this off of Reddit, and then BuzzFeed did an article on it based on that. And I'm thinking, man, I know somebody who's done almost every one of these. There were like 15 things, and I thought of like 30 or 40 people when I was looking over that list, different people.
I probably do at least one of those.
I think everybody does at least one. There's one that I'm guilty of. I'm telling you, there's one that I'm guilty of. But it's not one of the worst ones. I will tell you that.
Okay. I'm not going to admit to anything until I see him.
That's right. Okay.
I deny all.
You're like,
until I hear him.
It is 6:36. Mike Ferguson here with Gabe Pfeiffer and Ken Williams. And we've got our good friend Paul Kurtman with us here, freedom fighter extraordinaire that you can hear every Saturday right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Okay, Paul, I want to ask you about kind of the politics and the optics of this kind of awkward situation with Biden and DeSantis down in Florida. But first, the big news coming out of Washington, D.C., President Biden says, I'm going to pardon everybody with a federal simple possession conviction for marijuana. And it's got us asking the question, did Joe Biden actually get something right? What's your take on the situation?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I think there's two things that could be happening here. First off, yes, I think he's got this right. I don't think that the federal government should be making laws to put people in prison for possessing anything. It's not in the Constitution. Congress doesn't have that authority. I'm wondering, though, if this is going to be the way forward whenever the president just disagrees with a law, he just has a blanket pardon for anything. I don't think the Constitution was written. I don't think the whole point of the way the founders drafted our form of government was to give the president that kind of power, although the president does have the power to, obviously pardon some people. It makes you wonder what he knows about what these Department of Justice charges against Hunter Biden might look like. Maybe he's going to start pardoning, a lot of, people for paraphernalia of crack pipes and prostitution. We'll see if that's in line before too long. But yeah, I think President Biden has this right. The only thing is most people who are in prison or in jail for possession of marijuana are being charged with state possession of marijuana laws. I think there's very few, relatively speaking, federal charges that are on the books for people in our prisons for federal possession of marijuana charges. So I think governors are going to have to take a role in following him on that, and I really hope they do.
Good morning, Paul. Along those Hunter Biden lines, what do you make of Joe's "nobody mess with the Biden" commentary? Are we making too big of a deal about it?
That's not what he said. He didn't say nobody messes with a Biden.
He didn't?
No.
What did he say?
He said nobody. Never mind. Messes with a Biden. All right,
he actually did say that. Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
But I mean, granted, he probably said something like that. And are we making too big of a deal of it, or do you think it's kind of indicative of how he feels he and his family are above the law?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think he really feels that way. I think a lot of that has to do with that kind of Irish background and culture and the way that he grew up. You don't mess with us. Something else he said, I think when he was in Florida, as he was telling people, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but something along the lines of, brothers don't argue outside the house. It's like you can really kind of get a sense of, like, when he was a younger man, he probably had a code, and that's probably still part of some things that he believes. But this whole nobody F's with a Biden, I don't make anything much of that. I mean, I don't know who he was talking to when he said that. I saw the clip, but I think that it was in a conversation about, when they were growing up or something like that. I'm not sure. But I wish OPEC would have gotten the memo, because OPEC certainly did.
That's right.
Joe Biden goes,
well, OPEC Plus.
He goes over to Saudi Arabia, begs for them to increase oil production, and of course they decided to cut production 2%, which is, what is it, 200 million barrels? It's whatever amount it was. It amounts to 2% of global consumption, and so that's going to have a pretty big impact. And it couldn't have come at a worse time, because as we get closer to the elections, we're going to be watching it like a thermometer as the price tag at the gas pump continues to go up.
Hey, Paul, it's Ken. Speaking of the gas, he's planning to possibly tap into our strategic oil reserves again. What do you think about that?
I think it's a big mistake. I understand why you would want to tap into the strategic oil reserves as we get closer to the election and as gas prices get higher. But they're called strategic oil reserves, not strategic campaigning oil reserves. I mean, these are oil reserves that are supposed to be on hand in an absolute apocalyptic worst-case scenario. Should it befall the American people, we still have a source of energy. And he's using it to play politics with. What he ought to be doing is just freeing up the regulations so that way the American people can drill and refine our own oil. We used to be energy independent under the Trump administration, and now we're not. Now as Americans, we're groveling at the feet of foreign countries who are holding this out over our head. And it just really demonstrates how the Obama administration has really moved us down in the terms of priority and importance in the eyes of the rest of the world leaders, and I think it's a shame.
You said Obama administration. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's about right. I do that all the time.
That's about right.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. We're visiting with Paul Kurtman. You can hear the Paul Kurtman Show every Saturday right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. We're going to get a preview of what's coming up tomorrow here in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so the president goes down to Florida to survey the hurricane disaster relief, which is very common. A lot was made of the conflict between him and Governor DeSantis. It sure looks like politics was a factor until somebody got through and said, would you knock off the politics? A little bit of a tension, a little bit of awkwardness between him and DeSantis. At some point, isn't there a code? You mentioned a code a little bit earlier that in some cases we're supposed to throw politics out the window, and a 500-year hurricane would be that sort of thing. What did you make of that exchange and that sort of dynamic that we saw in Florida?
I saw them eventually be able to get past that. They both had good things to say about each other. I think Biden himself said, we worked together like a hand in a glove. We were lockstep. We were on the same page. And I believe him. I believe Biden when he says that. I believe DeSantis when he says that they've worked very well together and had an open line of communication and an open line of help and resources being passed between the two. I think it's good for the American people to see that happening, because at the end of the day, when you have people, they don't care about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat when a hurricane just flattened their house. But I think it's an opportunity to show the American people, though, that we still use a federalist system. We still have state governments and a federal government. Whoopi Goldberg was on The View the other day, and she was making it sound like, oh, DeSantis really changed his tune when he needed Daddy Biden. That's not the way that it works. It's just not the way that it works. When DeSantis needs resources from the federal government has them. Well, the federal government still needs the state government to distribute those resources and allocate them the way they need to in the wake of an emergency like that. So neither the federal government nor just the state government is able to do something really big like hurricane relief efforts when people are missing and dead. They can't do it alone. Like when they work together, that's when we see kind of the beauty of the way the American system can really be there for the American people in the wake of an emergency like this. So I think we have an opportunity to show people, teach them a little bit more about the system and about the way that it can be and the way that it should be. And but we'll just wait. We're 1 month away from the midterms and 2 years away from the primary for the election for president, and I think we're going to see this all resurface again and get hyper political.
Paul, I did like to see them trying to work together at least, but you could see that Biden could not help himself but poke the bear a little bit when they were down there together. He was talking about how climate change, see what happens when climate change happens, these huge things, hurricanes come up, and then the drought over in the western part of the United States.
Well, he said, yeah, Governor DeSantis suddenly discovered climate change. I mean, he even took a shot at DeSantis at some point. That was probably the only, time he tried to backhand. Other than that, I think it was cordial.
It was cordial, but Biden could not help himself and make that remark, you think? Paul?
Oh, did we lose Paul?
Oh,
we lost Paul.
We lost him.
Well,
we lost
good
Paul.
Conversation.
And I was about to say what was coming up on the program, because you can hear Paul Kurtman right here every Saturday, right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. You do not want to miss that. So obviously, love talking to our good friend Paul Kurtman. All right, just ahead here, there was a collection and a survey. What are the things people brag about that they really shouldn't brag about? And this list reminded me of a lot of people. And I'm curious, what do you hear people do this? And they should stop doing it. I'll tell you what it's all about. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
On 64 westbound at Greenmount Road, watch out for a crash. Those vehicles are reported to be on the shoulder, but it sounds like they may have struck debris in the roadway. 55 North just building volume at Butler Hill, and again, Carondelet to Virginia, just crowded, but it's moving. Eastbound 70's busy on the Musical Bridge. We had a stalled vehicle on the bridge, but it looks like he's been cleared. Their support sponsored by InvisibleFence.com. Invisible Fence brand's mission is to keep pets happy and safe with their forever families. Their exclusive technologies make their containment systems the most advanced on the market, giving your pet freedom to enjoy their yard and giving you confidence in their safety. Visit InvisibleFence.com to schedule your free consultation. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Friday, Tim and Chris are back. They'll be speaking with former Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos at 5:25 p.m. on School Choice.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Weekdays at 3:30
on News Talk STL.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Employee onboarding?
Automated.
Customer support?
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily? Lead management.
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right, Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses.
Even complex tasks?
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at zapier.com/radio. That's zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
This is what's happening.
Secure border.
This border is a disaster.
Massive chaos that's happening. Interest rates remain high.
News, analysis, opinion.
What comes next?
Got some news for you.
This is News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Mike Ferguson in the Morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
7:05, got an interesting conversation here. There's obviously a big need for some development and some jobs and for some attraction to come to the river area, the riverfront area, especially in North City. And a developer says, all right, I'm interested in doing it, but I need some taxpayer support for this and some incentives for this. All right, is it worth putting taxpayers on the hook for this at all? 7:05, we're going to chat with our friend David Stokes from the Show Me Institute and break down what they're asking for and is the, well, let's call it what it is the corporate welfare worth it to get the jobs and the attractions? Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation. 7:05, Show Me Institute, right here, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. It is 6:51 right now. Got Gabe here, got Ken here. Found an interesting list. Somebody started this on Reddit, and then BuzzFeed went and wrote an article about it. It's like, what are the things you should really never brag about in conversations? 314-912-1019 if you want to add to the list. But as I'm going down this list, I'm like, I was thinking of people who do this. Somebody popped into mind the whole time I was reading the list. The first one, and this one is really funny because I thought of like 2 or 3 people right off the bat, bragging about how good of a person they are. Have you ever had that? You see that? I mean, it's like, well, I mean, I'm just so patient and I extend grace to people. Or, I mean, it's just me. I can't help it. I see somebody in need and I just have to give them money. That sort of thing.
The humble brag kind of thing.
Yes.
it's part of it. Now sometimes if you're discussing charity and charity work and stuff like that, you kind of fit. You can fit things into those conversations. Like, here's my mentality when it comes to charity kind of thing.
There's a way to do it and a way to not. For instance,
but that's not really a brag, though.
Right. You can challenge people. Like we had the Sharon Watson from the Red Cross on the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, listen, I'm going to kick in $50. You can match me. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I don't think I was guilty of that at this point. I just wanted people to know how easy it was to do it.
Yes.
But there are people that do that.
Oh, yeah.
Totally do that.
You know what? I'm going to give to your organization. Let me, and then it goes into a whole thing.
Right. It's just who I am. I can't help it.
Yeah. I'm a generous soul. What can I say?
That's right. Okay, so this is the one I'm guilty of.
Okay,
this was number 2 on
the list. Absolutely. Like, inarguable. That this happened at least?
Arguably, but I would say
you're going to cop to it.
I wouldn't be convicted in criminal court, but I'd probably be ruled against in civil court.
You catch the civil. All right.
Bragging about how little sleep you get.
Oh. Now, is it a brag, though? Because if I'm talking about it, I'm complaining.
Yeah, there is a little caveat there because I've come in here in the morning and after I've jacked something up, I go, you know what? I really didn't get a lot of sleep.
Well, okay, when we first started this radio station, that was one of the things that perplexed me about you, Ken, is that I would get up And by the, I can't stand it when like morning people like, oh, I get up so early. You just, okay, that's part of the gig. So what? People building cars at the GM plant to do the same thing. It's not a big deal. But I would wake up at 2:30 or whatever, and then I see emails from Ken that came at 10:45 or 11. I'm like, what are you doing? Go to bed, dude.
That's my problem, is getting to bed on time. Yeah, seriously.
Yes.
How about this? And I have actually heard people do this. Matter of fact, I heard somebody do this week. They brag about how easily they can manipulate people, trying to, I guess, tell you how smart they are.
Oh yeah, I know somebody like that.
Yeah, okay. See, somebody popped into your mind.
That is not something to brag about.
No, but I've heard it done over and over and over again. It's usually like, they're so dumb, I'm so smart. I had them spinning in circles. They were doing it, didn't even know they were doing that because look at me. I have heard that many times.
Ooh, boy.
To me, something like that you should never be bragging about because the person you're bragging to will no longer trust you.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I am with this particular person, and I don't want to say their name because I'm sure they wouldn't be listening, but somebody would.
Man.
But yeah, they would say that, and I'd be like, well, dude, I'm going to be watching every word you say now.
Although I hate to break it to you, Ken, the people listening who know that person, they probably thought of them too.
Yeah,
no,
that's right.
No kidding.
They know who you're talking about already.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't heard this one since I was in college, but I have heard people brag about how good of a driver they are when they're drunk.
Oh gosh,
have you ever heard that?
A long time ago.
It's been since
your band days, huh?
Yeah,
yeah. From my college days. And even then, to the credit of everybody, around, somebody would say, "Yeah, man, I was effed up, and hey, I'm more careful. I don't want to get caught. I'm actually a really good driver when I'm drunk." And they got pounced on, by everybody else. So there was that. Even back in the early '90s, that was something that was already on the way out. But I've heard people do that.
Ugh.
Then there's others. There's people bragging about money. I get that. But how about this one? And I think that I know a lot of people bragging about how many hours they work and how busy they are, because it's like, listen, 40 hours a week is a lot, but we somehow put this value on, I'm so busy and overwhelmed, I just don't have time for anything. Oh my goodness, I work 12 hours a day. That irritates the crap out of me.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even have time to brag about it.
You work so much.
I work so much, I don't even have time to brag about it. But, the thing you mentioned about bragging about money, that annoys me.
Yeah, it does.
How much money I have.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Just have it.
I've been in places in my life where I've had money. I've been in many, many years and years of places where I've not had money. So it's a tool.
Yes.
Really, it's not your value on there. Let's see here. There's a couple others. People bragging how smart they are, etc. Number 9 on the list was people bragging about not reading books.
About not reading books?
Not reading books.
Okay, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That is dumb.
Yeah. I tell you, gosh. At the moment, because of my whole eye situation, I can't focus on text that close to my face right now. It drives me nuts that I can't read books at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm now getting behind on the books I want to read.
Now, does talking about the number of books that you don't have time to read but you want to read count as that?
No. This is,
you know what I mean? Because a lot of us do that because we're
I'm at right now.
Man, it's like
these are the people who are like, you know what? I read magazines. I don't really read books. That kind of stuff.
No, that's dumb.
How about
don't
this
do that,
one?
guys?
Let's call this the Al Bundy one. Brag about how popular they were in high school.
Were you peak in high school? Yeah, I know. Or that's people like that.
That's Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite.
I bet I could throw a ball over the mountains.
Yeah. When I was
back in the day,
4 touchdowns at Polk High School from Al Bundy. All right, corporate welfare or smart development. Let's talk about developing North St. Louis City. How much, if at all, should taxpayers be on the hook?
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All
Solutions Pest Control.
Tony Colombo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, and I really mean all your dental needs. Dr. Boscia focuses on utilizing the latest technology to pass along the benefits and huge number of services to his patients, which saves you time, money, and reduces discomfort in many cases. He also focuses on your convenience by offering early morning and evening appointments to limit disruption to you and your kid's schedule, and to being available for same-day and emergency treatment. A broken or infected tooth can shut down your entire life, and that's why Dr. Boscia can usually treat you the same day you call about an issue, right there in the office without you having to be referred or make additional appointments with a specialist. In almost every case, Dr. Boscia is the only dental professional you need, and that's why Christine and I trust him with our family. Learn about all those great services and see if he's right for your family by visiting newcreationdentalcare.com. That's newcreationdentalcare.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. You might think it would be the kind of news he'd want to deliver to the American people in a White House address, but instead President Biden used a big-money Democrat fundraiser to warn that we're on the verge of nuclear Armageddon. He says we haven't been this close since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, and he blames Vladimir Putin. Not long after the president fist-bumped a Saudi leader, some Democrats are steamed about Saudi support for a major cut in oil production.
3 months after President Joe Biden's awkward encounter with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia and the OPEC Plus group say they will slash oil production by 2 million barrels a day. The president was asked if he regrets making the July visit.
No, the trip was not essentially for oil. The trip was about the Middle East and about Israel and rationalization of positions.
Some angry Democrats want retaliation. The U.S. provides arms and military protection for the kingdom in exchange for it supplying enough oil to the global market to keep prices stable. Norman Hall, Washington.
And President Biden not ruling out an oil deal with Venezuela's dictatorship. Republicans relentless in arguing for a return to American energy independence. And it's not only the Republicans.
As Texas Governor Greg Abbott takes heat over busing more than 3,000 illegal immigrants to New York City and more than 900 to Chicago, Democrat El Paso, Texas Mayor Oscar Leeser quietly doing the same thing and more. Leeser's bussed around 7,000 illegal immigrants to New York City since late August and more than 1,800 to Chicago. The Republican initiatives to move illegal immigrants to Democrat-run sanctuary cities highlights the border problem for the rest of the country, with the election just weeks away. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Watching Wall Street, Dow futures up 48 points, NASDAQ futures down 37 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Doing pretty well this morning. We're crowded eastbound 70 on the Musial Bridge. We had an earlier incident there. 55 North just picking up a little volume. Carondelet up through Virginia. 270 North is busy, but it's moving from 55 most of the way up through Manchester. 64 East is okay. We just had a crowded pocket right at Clarkson, but that appears to be thinning out. 70 inbound, no issues coming in from St. Charles County this morning. This report is sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the Newstalk STL Weather Center.
Definitely a cooler day today with mostly cloudy skies at times and 61 degrees. It'll be about 60, give or take, at the ball game this afternoon. Skies will clear tonight and it will get cold. Frost advisory up for the entire metro area as temperatures will approach at the freezing mark. We'll be in the mid-30s to near 40 degrees in metropolitan St. Louis, but some patchy frost certainly possible tonight. A high on Saturday of 63 degrees. The game on Saturday evening will be in the 50s. The high on Sunday, 72, and dry all weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of Newstalk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it, gets it. Anybody who gets it, wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Do you have a property that is more hassle than is worth? Hi, this is David with House Sold Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a property and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. Do you own an ugly property, a behind on mortgage payment property, a lazy tenant that won't pay rent property, a too much junk and clutter property, or even a, hey, I'm curious about a fair cash offer property? Well, don't worry. I buy them all, and I want to make you a fair cash offer. Call me at 314-293-3000.
Listen anytime.
It happens
Anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the Newstalk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the Newstalk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on Newstalk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
Got a lot to pack in over the next hour or so here at 7:20. We don't say this very often here on Newstalk STL. Nobody in this building is going to say this very often. Did Joe Biden just get something right? I know. But 314-912-1019, and we are talking about drugs. So we'll have that conversation at 7:20. 7:35, this will be, I think, the first time that we've had the folks from Our America on the program. Not talking about the TV network. I'm talking about the nonprofit group that says when it comes to race and politics shouldn't be defining each other. So we're going to talk to Barrington Martin on that. And then, of course, at 7:50, the one and only Gabe Pfeiffer, everybody.
Yay!
Has this week's edition of Not Today, Satan. And as we're in October, I suspect these are just going to get even more creepy and cool over the next several weeks.
Oh yes. Now we're gonna start with animals, I think.
Okay.
But next week and the week after, I think, are going to be
all about it. So it's still going to be good this
spooky.
week.
Yes.
All right. It is 7:07 right now. There is a proposal or an idea to develop part of North City right along the riverfront. And remember, there's a lot of problems along the riverfront right now. We're talking homelessness. We're talking crime. Even like the Parks Department and the police are saying, don't go there. Jeez. In some parts of this now. So a developer comes along and wants to build an entertainment, and a restaurant, and a retail area right there along the riverfront in North City. And we're like, well, great, fantastic. But they want taxpayers to take on some of the investment, shall we say. This is right up the alley of the Show Me Institute and David Stokes, who joins us right now. Hey, happy Friday, Dave. Appreciate you being on the show. So what's the general scope of what's being proposed? Because we're talking about a big deal if it goes through, right?
We're talking about a very big deal, and definitely
a number of aspects that are concerning. But first of all, Mike, it's great to be on the air with you and everybody at News Talk STL. Thanks for having me on. So yeah, there's a lot to be concerned about here. This is an area that I can tell you I'm very familiar with. I've followed this site and this development not only at Show Me Institute, but when I was with Great Rivers Habitat Alliance, because this site is along the Mississippi River and used to be floodplain. It's something we were interested in as well. It's the small part of St. Louis City that's north of 270. Most people, I think, would assume that it's St. Louis County, but it's actually St. Louis City north of 270 along the Mississippi River there. It's about a 60, 70 acre site, depending on the exact proposal for the parcel. And a developer, it used to be a golf course. It was a golf course much lower, and it was in the floodplain as Mother Nature intended it to be. And then, because flooding is getting worse, it flooded so much that the golf course failed. And some developers came along, and they tried to, about 10, 15 years ago, they tried to do a big development there. They didn't succeed at that, but they did succeed at taking it out of the floodplain, adding an enormous amount of dirt from the Musial Bridge project to this site. And I've flown over the site in a helicopter in the flood of 2019. I've canoed past the site while canoeing the Mississippi River on a few occasions. So it's an area I know about. And now the latest plan is for a developer to put condos, a hotel, retail, and even a marina, which sounds fascinating to have a beautiful new marina, but also concerning for a reason I'll get to in a second. And it's about a $325 million project, which, many people would say is great, but of course they want tax subsidies. They want a substantial tax abatement for 15 years. They want additional sales taxes through a transportation development district and a community improvement district that will go on for a long, long time, all designed to subsidize this development. And it's very troubling. Now, the economic damage the environmental damage has already been done by taking it out of the floodplain. But the economic damage, it's just this type of cycle. The developers will say, but if we succeed, in the long run, it'll generate more for the city than the cost of the abatement, the cost of the subsidies. And that can be true. That certainly could be true. But we know from the history of these subsidies and incentives and the like in our region that it generally doesn't work out in taxpayer favor. But that said, there's been very interesting articles on this proposal in the Post-Dispatch and the Business Journal, and it's before the Board of Aldermen, so we're going to see what they do.
Yeah, because there are some people in City Hall who seem to be completely on board with this. And I mean, Dave, you know me long enough. You know what I think of corporate welfare. At the same time, there's probably an emotional appeal to a lot of people that says, look, there's nothing there now. We've got to have jobs. The city's dying. We got to just do something and take our shot. Let's take the risk. It's a public-private partnership, Dave.
And that do something mentality can be very harmful in government. Because, right, we all want people out there who want to do something. We want them to be the people we connect with in life, in politics, whatever. We want to do something. But when you do something in government, you do something with other people's money. And we know that when you make decisions based on spending other people's money, you don't do it as effectively as you do when you spend your own money. So that's where these abatements come in. And it's used to justify all sorts of government actions under the idea that we have to do something. And the studies, over to many, many, many of them, of the use of tax subsidies and tax abatements and the like, they demonstrate beyond any doubt that it doesn't really work because these subsidies incentivize projects that may not actually be a great idea. I don't know if there's this hotel, condos, and marina and retail development here at this location is going to be a big success in the future. Certainly, most of my brain and heart hopes it is. But I also know that, look, the marina, there's a reason that they built the Chain of Rocks Canal right in that area, because this site is right by the Chain of Rocks, which is one of the trickiest parts of the whole Mississippi River to navigate. I would very question whether the Corps of Engineers is going to allow a marina right by a location they literally call the Chain of Rocks. And so that's going to be very tricky. And again, I have canoed through this area with very knowledgeable guides explaining this to me. So the marina part has got its whole separate area of trouble, and you hope that they're not proposing it just to help them get the subsidies, and then they'll know it'll be pulled back when the Corps of Engineers says no way. You hope that's not happening. But it's an interesting site. It's a neat location, of course, right up on the beautiful Mississippi River. There's an old water department intake, sort of a lighthouse-looking fixture right there. It's beautiful. I'd love to see it succeed, but leaving even aside the whole Merino Chain of Rocks aspect, it's just another round of tax incentives that people in the city of St. Louis think this is how they're going to turn the city around, and the use of tax subsidies and the like just doesn't work in the long run.
Good morning, Dave. This is Ken. It's a high-risk, high-reward situation. That's a typical business thing. I mean, they will reap all of the benefits if they risk their equity to make this happen. Now, when the project's finished, how much money is in sales is the city itself going to receive directly from sales from this finished project?
Well, they don't know that. The project's not far enough along in the scale to have determined numbers like that. It's a $325 million total project. That's what they estimate. But that includes salaries of construction work. That includes a lot of stuff in that. When it's done, if it has a hotel and condos and several 100,000 feet of retail, they're going to get a 90% tax abatement for the first 5 years, and a 75% tax abatement for the next 5 years, and then on a little bit further. So that 90% tax abatement, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I don't know what the final assessed valuation of the project would be. It would certainly be, tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And the articles on the Post and the bills before the Board of Aldermen don't give those specifics just yet. It is a little bit troubling that all of it, according to the news reports, says that the Port Authority has final say on the tax abatement, not the Board of Aldermen. So that's also troubling, and I'm glad you brought this up so I remembered to make that objection. Elected officials on the Board of Aldermen and the mayor need to have the final say on these tax subsidies, not the St. Louis City Port Authority, which are appointed by the mayor. So these unelected officials should have a role in judging it. I mean, it is along the river. It is legitimately will be a port. So I'm not saying they shouldn't have a role, but the final say has got to be with elected officials. And we're seeing sort of a trend in Kansas City and now here in St. Louis with the Port Authority of giving unelected people the decisions over these tax subsidies to sort of spare elected officials perhaps the public scrutiny for it. And so we need elected officials to be held accountable for this, not unappointed members of the Port Authority.
All right, David Stokes from the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. Dave, appreciate the update. We're going to keep a real close eye on this. I want to see the development. I just don't want to see the corporate welfare and crony capitalism that too often goes with it.
And potentially the wreck of certain yachts in the marina on the Chain of Rocks right there. I don't want to see that either.
Right. There you go. Hey, Dave, have a great weekend. Appreciate you being on the program.
Thanks, everybody. Would love to talk to you about this again in the future.
We will do. All right. 314-912-1019. I'm going to say the thing you're going to rarely hear on News Talk STL.
Ooh.
Did Joe Biden just get something right?
Ow, my ears. Ow.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? We're talking drugs. 314-912-1019.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Follow us on Getter at NewstalkSTL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Got a crash with fire and EMS on the scene. Graham Road at Dunn. North 55 just picking up some volume. Bates up to Gasconade. That's the only real slowdown we have. They are working in the left lane already today on 70 westbound past 94 in the construction zone. The eastbound side, though, is fine. This report sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
If you are on Medicare, you need to listen to this message. Open enrollment for all Medicare participants starts October 15th. This is a very critical time of the year for you to make needed changes to your plan.
This is Mike Butts with MB Health Insurance Agency. Regardless if you are new or renewing your health insurance, the process can be confusing and very time-consuming. MB Health is local here in St. Louis, and we will handle your enrollment quickly, properly, and effectively. Find us on the web at mbhealth.com.
MB Health can also help small businesses find the perfect medical coverage for their employees. That's mbhealth.com.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. As my daughters would say, it's fall, y'all. That means it's the perfect time to call Hanson's. Prime time for Hanson's to come out and do all that fall trimming before winter storms can bring down trees and limbs on the homestead. Get on the Hanson's schedule for winter dormant oil applications to protect your trees from insects taking shelter over the winter, and a perfect time for Hanson's to put you on a preventative plant health care program. Everything you need for winter can be found at Hanson's. Hanson'sTree.com.
Are you downright disgusted with the corruption of our Democratic leadership at St. Louis City Hall that's been reported in the news?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McLean, chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis. If you want to put our city that we all love back on track, you must get involved. If you're ready to be part of the solution, we invite you. Come and meet us. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Fox News commentary.
A Narcan vending machine in this state was emptied out just a day after it was installed. Can you guess the state? I'm Tommy Lahren. Find out next.
Smart businesses are always looking for ways to improve. Better work days can start with Cintas. Your dedicated Cintas service reps help make sure you have what you need when you need it. We'll stock your essential cleaning products, deliver hygienically clean workwear, inspect your fire extinguishers, and provide first aid and safety supplies. Cintas is with you every step of the way, so you stay a step ahead. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
And is a medicine that rapidly reduces an opioid overdose, and if you hadn't guessed, it's been quite popular over the last 5 years. It's apparently so popular and so needed in Kentucky, the first Narcan vending machine was emptied out just a day after it was installed. Wow. Now, the idea for this vending machine came after the town's police chief saw a man be saved with Narcan after he overdosed in a bathroom, and he wanted to make this life-saving medicine available to those who need it without having to go to law enforcement or first responders. The Narcan in this first machine was completely free for the general public to take. The police department has already ordered more product to restock that machine. And while this vending machine sounds like a good idea, and it probably is, it's truly sad it's come to this in many cities and towns across the USA. The drug epidemic is spreading, and our southern border has a lot to do with it. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can listen to all of my hot takes at foxnewscommentary.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
They're still anti-science and anti-governance.
Democrats offer a vision for a better America.
He's losing support and enthusiasm among the base.
101.9 and 94.1.
You're going to enter a problem.
News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. News, analysis, opinion. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You're going to have updates throughout the morning on our information breaks here on Mike Ferguson in the morning. But I'm asking the question. I'm opening the can of worms, so to speak. Did Joe Biden just get something right?
I'm sorry.
Did he get it right? 314-912-1019, and we are talking about drugs. The president pardoned thousands of Americans convicted of possession of marijuana, and we're talking about federal convictions, not state or local convictions. Fox News' Peter Ducey has more from the White House.
President Biden says he doesn't think anybody should be in jail for using or possessing marijuana. So aboard Air Force One, he signed a pardon for anyone convicted of those offenses. It's interesting because none of the 6,500 people this impacts are in federal custody. Many more, though, in state and local custody. So he is urging state and local officials to issue the same kind of pardon. Officials are telling us at the White House the president is just delivering on a campaign promise, and this isn't timed to the upcoming midterms.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
We'll get to that in just a second here. But part of the remarks that he made after he signed this pardon, basically an executive order pardoning thousands of people here, he says that it is, basically what he's doing, he's calling for a change regarding the classification of marijuana in addition to the pardons.
The federal government currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. So I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
Okay, with that soundbite right there, I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that I think libertarians in particular have been arguing for 25 years or more. A lot of conservatives are coming on board with this as well. Some of the arguments I've heard against that are saying, yeah, but the marijuana of 20 years ago is not the same as the marijuana now. I get that because there's now a market for it. But on this particular case, and you don't hear this very often from me, and if you disagree, I definitely want to hear from you. 314-912-1019. I think the president got this right. Now, keep in mind, this is only applicable to people who have been convicted of possessing or using marijuana in a federal conviction. So if you're convicted in Illinois court, Madison County court, you're convicted anywhere in Missouri, and it's a state court, this does not apply to them. He's asking governors to follow suit, though.
Right. And I think there are very few people who are actually going to be let out of prison because of this.
I can tell you the exact number.
It's zero?
Zero.
It is zero.
Zero.
Okay.
There is, apparently, according to the pardon adjusted, there's not one single person in federal prison for a marijuana possession charge.
Only
a marijuana possession charge. So basically, we're talking about expunging records.
Right. Yes. And I think the greater impact, though, of this, using basically the bully pulpit of the executive, is to put pressure on not only the state governments to do something about marijuana law, but like he said in his comments, also put pressure on the legislature to reclassify marijuana. Now, me being the most tepid of supporters of legalization, this was, I think, something that should have happened a long time ago. This would have been the first step, is to move it from one classification to the other, because you can't do adequate research on Class 1 drugs. I mean, it doesn't really work out. You can't distribute it to universities and things like that for them to do these things. You can do those university studies and stuff like that under state law if state law allows it, but transporting it across state lines obviously becomes really difficult. All of these impediments to understanding the drug itself. That's the data that I've always wanted, but the federal law as it stands has been an impediment to us knowing more about marijuana and its usage, its effect on people. That's the stuff I want to have happen.
I was real excited when Trump started to get involved with criminal justice reform, and that was one of the tenets of it. I think he started to get into that. He didn't get, of course, through it all the way, but I think it's always been a good idea to decriminalize marijuana use. But I can't, and I agree with Biden.
Yes.
On this.
Soundbite, grab the soundbite.
On this particular thing. But I can't help but thinking that there's an alternative motive there. And it was funny when we had Paul on this morning. He brought up about his son.
Right, with Hunter Biden. But the thing is that two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah,
is this likely in order to try to help boost Democratic chances in the election, which is in 32 days? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Both things can be true at the same time. And 99.9999999% of the time, I think Joe Biden's flat wrong. I just happen to think on this particular one, I think he got it right.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, we've got Sean on the line.
Sean. Hey, Sean, you are on News Talk STL. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I disagree, Mike. I mean, Joe's just grabbing votes here, okay? Because how many people do you really think federally are affected by just possession of marijuana? If the feds are getting involved with you on a drug case or something, they're not coming at your house because you're just possessing it. You are possessing it with the intent to distribute or something like that. It's going to affect so few people. This is just a media stunt. That's all this is.
Now, we did just discuss this, that actually 0 people in federal custody are going to go loose because of this. And what we're really talking about is the expunging of records. But
because the intended, I'm sorry to jump in, the intent to distribute charges, those weren't affected by the pardon.
Right, because it's a different level.
It affects so few people that it's really a minute thing. Because, it's your state and local authorities that come in and arrest you on these charges. Then they add in the federal charges. And it's never just a possession. Like, Joe's talking about minor possession charges.
That's correct.
Yes. Yeah. Now, the thing that I said, that I pointed out, that where this actually is a good thing, objectively, is that from the executive, this is basically the limit of what he could do, but it's the use of the bully pulpit to try and get the individual state governments as well as the federal legislature to reclassify marijuana. Like that would be the ultimate goal. So this would be one step towards that positive outcome that we think. Now, granted, though, it is absolutely, especially based on the timing, a political stunt.
Yeah. But by him using the bully pulpit, isn't that him overreaching his power as president?
No.
No.
The power doesn't it come down to a state's issue?
No, because he's not pardoning people convicted of state crimes, only people convicted in federal court.
All right, right on. But it's still just a media grab by him.
Well, yes.
Trying to do anything.
Yes.
Do anything they can to remain in power.
Well, of course. Yes. Yeah. But both are true to us.
Yeah. I got to get to an information segment. Hey, Sean, appreciate you.
Thank you. Guys, have a great day. Thank you.
You too, man. Yep. No, both things can be true at the same. I think both things are true.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, the cynic in me still says there's a good timing for this on their part, but it is more messaging than it is a direct, tangible impact on people. But it's expunging records of something that shouldn't be there.
We're looking for silver linings, guys. Give us something.
Come on now.
It's Friday.
It's Friday feels.
Okay, so from drugs and politics to race and politics, should we be separating those out culturally? Chew on that over the next 4 minutes during the next information break. Talking to our friends at Our America, our new friends. Barrington Martin is going to be with us at 7:35 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com. And talk that affects St. Louis.
Raised interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
Nothing short of bad. Vladimir Putin threatened not to ease tensions, but to escalate them through the threat of nuclear weapons.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Starting today, Normandy High School will now require ID cards for all students after someone allegedly posed as a student and attacked a girl in a school restroom. Students who arrive at school without a badge will be allowed into the building but placed in a room separate from the student population and remain there until they are picked up or their badge is brought to them by a family member. In an article published by the Catholic Missourian on Monday, the bishops, acting as officers of the Missouri Catholic Conference, raised concerns about the social costs of legalization of marijuana and said voters should reject the plan. Amendment 3 on the November 8th ballot would legalize possession and cultivation of marijuana for individuals 21 and older. Bi-State Development is considering pairing mental health services with security to improve safety for Metrolink riders and staff. Bi-State officials are proposing that two-person clinician teams would work at Metrolink's North Hanley and Civic Center transit centers to help riders in need of behavioral health issues. And in sports and preseason hockey last night, the Blue Jackets shut out the Blues 7-0 in Columbus. The Blues have changed the start time of Saturday's preseason game against the Blackhawks to accommodate the Cardinals' playoff game. Saturday's Blues game will now start at 2 p.m. And the Cardinals face the Phillies at Busch today to open the playoffs in the best-of-3 wild card round. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
So far, it's relatively quiet this morning. We have a crash northbound on Graham Road north of Dunn. They've got the northbound lanes blocked. You have to use the center turn lane to get around it. Northbound 55 between Bates and Gasconade starting to show a little volume, but just a minute or two delay. Other than that, I don't see any major slowdowns so far. This support sponsored by Blindster. Want to say big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you and at prices less than the big box retailers, too. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Offer ends soon, so shop today at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Definitely a cooler day today with mostly cloudy skies at times and 61 degrees. It'll be about 60, give or take, at the ball game this afternoon. Skies will clear tonight and it will get cold. Frost advisory up for the entire metro area as temperatures will approach at the freezing mark. We'll be in the mid-30s to near 40 degrees in metropolitan St. Louis, but some patchy frost certainly possible tonight. A high on Saturday of 63 degrees. The game on Saturday evening will be in the 50s. The high on Sunday, 72, and dry all weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
It's the Sail On Tour 2022, starring Orleans, Pablo Cruz, Firefall,
You are the woman that I've always dreamed of.
Peter Beckett, the voice of Player, and Walter Egan with Sail On 2022, Saturday, October 15th at the Family Arena. Tickets available at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster.
All right, you feel good tonight?
They're back, cocked and loaded. The Family Arena presents 38 Special with special guests Molly Hatchet and Black Oak, Arkansas. Saturday, November 19th, the Family Arena. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster.com. Presented by the Family Arena.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The next Missouri Senator, Nick Schroer.
You know, it is good that Nancy Pelosi's not in America right now. It's less destruction that she can partake in. I can't get over her eyebrows. I mean, if you watch her eyebrows and watch inflation, it shows you the trends in inflation rising.
Huh?
And during Trump, her eyebrows were normal.
It's an economic indicator. Her eyebrows.
Really is. I don't know if it's the Botox or the vodka.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Turn the key and every light turn green. Like Steve McQueen, I made a motor scream.
Appointment listing happens at 7:50 as Gabe brings us this week's edition of Not Today, Satan. That's happening just ahead right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Gabe's over there. Ken's right in front of me. I'm Mike Ferguson, joined now by Barrington Martin from Our America. And Barrington, I think you've been on my my syndicated show, my national show before, but I think this is the first time you've been on News Talk STL. And to introduce what you do at Our America, we're really focusing as much on culture as I take your work. Politics and policies evolve, but you're looking at the division along racial lines, which frankly politicians tend to drive and exploit a lot. Give everybody kind of the elevator pitch, and then let's dive into some of these things you're working on with Our America.
First and foremost, thank you for having me again, Mike. And it's great to speak to you. It's been such a long time. Hopefully we can keep up our communication. But anyways, Our America is an organization of people that believe in America and the fundamental principles, that make America a great place. The goal of Our America is to be the spark for ongoing cultural movement that seeks to make the silent majority no longer silent and pushing back against radical ideology that seeks to divide and destroy America from within. So basically, we agree more than we disagree. However, through media and through politics, we've been taught that we hate each other. We've been taught that we disagree on so many things in this nation. That's not the case at all. And so we're basically trying to be that bridge between the divide that politics has driven through different types of people and basically through all Americans.
Good morning, Barrington. Gabe Pfeiffer here. You and I share a complexion, and one of the things that has always frustrated me is the juxtaposition of how I think culturally conservative black households were for a good long while until I guess fairly recently when we started shifting a little bit, but how progressive the politicians we elected were. And have you shared this same frustration with me? And what can we continue to do about it?
No, 1,000%. It's just that America doesn't understand that, historically speaking, as you were just stating, that Black Americans have been some of the most conservative demographic in America. And oftentimes what happens is because of the left pushing all of this radical ideology, specifically on minorities, we tend to think that, for example, a certain political party or a certain ideology is racist, and that's not the case. Radical progressives have definitely turned off a large portion of the Black community through radical ideology that's essentially un-American. And so basically what we're trying to do with Our America is come in, speak to people face to face, or however the case may be, and just show them that no, Americans of all colors, of all creeds, of all ideologies and beliefs agree and believe in a lot of the same things that make this country great. And we just have to start having those conversations out loud so that the silent majority can become the loud majority.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an intimidation factor? I mean, is there an element to this where people say, okay, yeah, you're right, but man, I really don't want to get into it with people because somebody's going to get mad? I mean, is that one of the things that prevents conversations? Or if not, what does prevent these conversations?
Well, when you have the loud minority who are the loudest in the room, where they basically bully people into not speaking up about things that they know that they agree with, like, for example, when you have an ideal or ideology of cancel culture where you can't really speak the truth, but you have to be politically correct within the paradigms of what radicals want you to believe, it intimidates people. When people's livelihood, when people's safety are being in question or in jeopardy, rather, people are afraid to speak up. But the thing about it is, what we're trying to do with Our America is we're trying to give people a space specifically to be loud in their beliefs, because, again, we all agree with a lot of the things that we're seeing, and it's time for us to just now move forward into speaking up about it and just to start building relationships with one another, to show each other that we are way more united than what they want us to believe.
Are you seeing much progress in getting through to people, or are a lot of people responding well to this message and kind of coming together finally?
1,000%, absolutely. Within our polling, for example, when we ask minorities specifically, do you agree with or disagree with the statement that America is a great country? 80% of Hispanics agree, 70% of Blacks agree. When you ask the question, regardless of what makes each of us unique, no place on earth is more open and welcoming than America and the American people, 84% of Hispanics agree and 79% of Blacks agree. So I have a long list of questioning like this within our polling that shows that a lot of people agree with these things, especially minorities. However, they're not placed or put in the position to have these conversations to know that, hey, we are all on the same page about this, and what they're trying to tell us in politics and what the media is trying to show us about this being this one big divide, this racial divide, or all of this vitriol within race is not true at all. And so this is why it's important for us to begin to have these conversations, person to person, face to face, community to community.
So we're visiting with Barrington Martin from Our America. Barrington, what about the areas where we do disagree, where there are divisions? How do we approach that as well, and what's the role Our America has in this?
I'm so happy that you asked that question. It's going to be, the key to that is going to be common sense and civility. Basically, we've noticed and we've seen people that are tired of all the arguing. In order for us to live in a better society, we need to have civility. We have no choice but to have civility. In spite of our differences, we must engage in honestly in civil discourses. It's okay to disagree. We just have to figure out how we can come to common ground and move on to the next thing, or move forward and coming up with the common sense solutions that is going to make this country great.
All right, when we talk about, Lee, is one of the things that we see all the time is, whoever you're pointing at, you can't say that. You can't lead because of something like your race, your political affiliation, your religion, or whatever the case. We yesterday on this program, we had a conversation about a documentary that got canceled because the filmmaker is white. I mean, that was one of the reasons. So one of the things about getting a conversation started is deciding who gets to start the conversation. And too often, I think, Barrington, and tell me if I'm wrong, that conversation ends with, you're not allowed to say that because you're not whatever. You're not in this community. You're not of the right race. You're not of you haven't been through this situation. So you're not allowed to talk about it. You just have to sit and listen.
I totally, that's one of the things that grinds my gears that I've been seeing lately. And I think that we have to move away from this emotional driven discourse and move back to the facts. As long as someone's telling the truth, as long as someone's telling the truth in a respectful way and they're putting common sense forward, I have no problem with who's saying whatever they're saying. And I think that we have totally moved towards this tribal type mentality when essentially we've never been this way. This is why a lot of Americans currently right now agree that we're heading towards the wrong direction. And for us to get back on the right direction, we have to get back to a common sense ideology and understanding that just the color of your skin doesn't matter. It's about speaking the truth. It's about the type of person you are, and get back to basics with a lot of the things that we've held true that has made our society a great society.
Barrington, before we let you go, we've got just a couple more minutes. I have one more question. I see a lot of this problem kind of ensconced in young people and universities, things like that. Does your organization have any plans to take this message to the kids?
Absolutely. We plan to be the go-to source for pro-American commentary representing the pro-American majority. And so probably within the next few months, we're going to start heading to college campuses, speaking to college campuses, but mainly we want to be within the community, because not only does this message needs to get out to the community and get out to specifically the younger adult crowd, we want to see people engage with us. We want people to engage with one another just so they can understand that they are not alone in their thought processes, and that we are on a united front, and that we have to be a united front if we plan to make this country better than it ever has been before. Okay, what's the website information, or maybe your podcast information? Because it doesn't mean people have to agree with you or me or anybody else, but at least they want to learn more about what you're doing. Where do they find you? Absolutely. The website to go to is joinouramerica.org. When you pull it up, please subscribe to our newsletter. Please sign up for our newsletter, and you will get all the amazing things that we're doing here in the nation. Because, again, it's not just my America. It's not just your America. It's our America. All right. Barrington Martin from Our America. Good talk to you. Have a great weekend, Barrington. You too. You guys be safe out there. All right, well, that's a whole other thing. We'll get into that all right. Well, we stay out of the city. We're fine. That's right. Barrington Martin from Our America. All right, just ahead, let's just go right to the information segment so we can get right to this week's edition of Not Today, Satan.
16, I found my dream machine.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Just picking up a little volume so far. It's not bad. 55 northbound, Carondelet up through Gasconade. Add 4 minutes to your commute time. Eastbound 64, I see a heavy pocket running through Olive and Maryville Center. One more time, Ballast to Spady and 170 to Big Bend, but that's not too much out of the usual. 270 southbound, you're just building a little volume right at I-64. 270 northbound's actually in pretty decent shape, just busy at Manchester. This report sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds, easy to install, and they're guaranteed to fit, too. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman with the latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Sunday is the Freedom Fest barbecue hosted by the St. Louis Young Republicans. We'll talk to the Young Republicans president, Frank Candazzaro, Friday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The Range St. Louis West is all about safety. That's why training is a critical part of what we do. No one wants to be in a situation where seconds count, but help is minutes away. But if that day comes, are you ready? No matter what your firearm experience level is, we have courses and instructors that can help. The Range St. Louis West is the area's premier training facility, shooting range, and all things firearms retail facility. Check us out online at therangestl.com or stop by and visit with our professional staff. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Decision 22 News.
Inflation, gas prices.
Decision 22 Analysis.
The things the American people want to hear about.
Decision 22 Opinion.
Same old tired talking points.
In St. Louis, Decision 2022 happens right here. News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Here's what's still ahead at 8:05. Going to give you another chance to answer the question. Well, you know what? At 8:05, actually, we've got, what do we have here? Oh, yeah. Hey, there's a thing going on with Hunter Biden.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this or not. So 8:05, we'll bring you up to date on that. And then actually at 8:35, we'll let you answer the question, did President Biden actually get something right? That's been a fun thing we're touching on throughout the morning.
So it makes me feel a little queasy.
I am telling you, I think he got this one right. So we'll do that in the 8 o'clock hour as well. But right now, let's get to everybody's favorite Friday appointment listing segment. And that is when Gabe Pfeiffer takes over.
It's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you sick.
Because the devil.
Oh, hell no.
This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening. The devil.
There's only way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Amen. Okay, now some people spend a ton of money to look younger or to look like their favorite celebrity or even to look like a Barbie doll, but one man from Japan dedicated his savings to becoming a dog. I see you. The man who identifies as Toko the dog, bought a realistic border collie costume custom made from Zeppet, a Japanese agency known for creating sculptures and models for movies. Now, apparently, it was his lifelong dream to turn into a dog, and a talented costume company made his unusual request happen after he forked over roughly $11,000.
Well, isn't that special?
It's wild.
What
man.
I mean, he walks around wearing a costume.
It's a dog costume. It's a very realistic dog costume.
Now,
you have to see this.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if you're gonna be committed, come on now, let's get some hair on the body.
Oh well, he's on all fours and everything. Okay, so Toko, who has his own YouTube channel, shared a now viral video of himself in costume titled, quote, "I tried to become a collie." He can be seen sitting, lifting his paws, and rolling over for belly rubs.
How do you spell Toko?
T-O-K-O.
T-O-K-O.
You're gonna look that up.
Here. I've got the video right here. If you want to see it real quick.
Okay. Oh wow! No, what?
That's a man.
That is
in a costume.
Holy cow!
These guys, like I said, these guys, Zeppet, out of Japan, they make movie quality level costumes and set pieces and sculptures and things like that, and they made this moving interactive sort of costume for him to wear. He looks like from a distance.
Has he been neutered?
I'm guessing that he's single, unless there's some bitch out there that really interested.
Has he been neutered? Gabe? Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah,
that's really bizarre.
Help control the pet.
Very realistic.
Help control the pet population. So
that's freaky.
Yeah, bad Toko. Bad. Now, a South African home had two special but unwelcome guests in a matter of 2 days. Black mamba snakes.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no.
Yeah, so Reaction Unit South Africa, a special unit of the police out there, responded on Tuesday to a home in Emona where residents discovered a venomous black mamba behind the homeowner's makeshift TV stand. Now, police then summoned snake catcher Samantha Cumming to the scene, and she was able to safely capture the snake and relocate it to a reptile park. Now, less than 24 hours later, the RUSA officers returned to the home when the homeowner discovered a second black mamba lurking in a bedroom.
Get behind me, Satan!
The second snake was captured by local reptile wrangler Jason Arnold, because they have a lot of reptile wranglers.
Yeah, that happens a lot there.
South Africa and Australia, they have all that.
Now, aren't black mambas like the most venomous in the world?
Yes, a bite from this thing would kill you almost,
like
instantly.
a minute and a half or something.
It's very quick. You would die very quickly and in horrible, horrible pain. This one home had two. Now, apparently, and this particular, the second one, had made its way back into the back corner of a TV cabinet when they finally caught up to it. So apparently black mambas are addicted to cable. So the second snake was released into the wild. Now, in our last story, did you know this weekend it's Thanksgiving weekend for Canadians?
Right. Oh. I did know that. Actually.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And I'm prepping for all that.
Happy Thanksgiving, Janet.
Yeah, there you go. So this one story kind of hit close to home as police in Ohio responded to a resident's home where a wild turkey broke in through a large window.
No, God, please, no!
So the Miami Township Police Department said officers responded to the home of a resident who called 911 to report a large turkey had crashed through a window into their daughter's playroom, making it an even bigger mess than it already was. So the department posted body cam footage to Facebook showing an officer with a net chasing the turkey around the trashed room. It is hilarious. You just have to play the Benny Hill music behind it, and it just makes it 10 times better.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
The officer is eventually able to capture the turkey with the net, but then it escaped again from the net and ran out the window that it broke through. Oh, man. Hey, there's room enough for all of God's creatures, even turkeys, right next to the mashed potatoes. So otherwise, when it comes to wild animals in the house, you know what I'm saying.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening. Devil.
Just only way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Tell Janet I said for this Canadian Thanksgiving, she should go all out. for it.
Should go totally all out.
All out for it.
We're all about the house.
About the house. Hey, Hunter might actually face charges, but don't get too excited. I'll tell you why at 8:04 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
10-year-old George Haruza and his parents, with only what they could carry in a suitcase, made a daring escape from behind the Iron Curtain of communism. George Haruza and his family risked their lives fleeing communist oppression to secure the freedom and promise of America. George Haruza quickly learned English, studied hard, and worked harder. Overcoming every hurdle in his way, George Haruza is now a world-renowned surgeon, educator, and physician leader.
So I do believe in a limited government. Governments should provide for the people who are really in need, encourage everybody else to rise up to their potential, and then mostly get out of the way.
Now, George Haruza wants to bring his record of getting good things done to the state Senate, and George Haruza understands the mission. George Haruza for State Senate, a record of getting good things done. Paid for by Haruza for Missouri.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The government September employment report is just in. Non-farm payrolls grew by 263,000 jobs, compared with 315,000 jobs added the month before. The unemployment rate ticked down to 3.5% from the August 3.7% reading. And Wall Street worries the Fed will use this data to hike interest rates further and stock futures dropping deeper into the red. President Biden says that in one very troubling way, it's 1962 all over again.
In a speech at a New York fundraiser for the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, President Biden said Russian President Vladimir Putin was not joking when he talks about the use of tactical nuclear weapons or biological or chemical weapons. The president adding, "We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis." Biden's remarks are the starkest warnings yet by the U.S. government. They come at a time that the Russian military has had major battlefield losses in its war on Ukraine. However, U.S. officials say they have seen no change to Russia's nuclear forces. I'm Tim McGuire.
Does Mr. Biden regret his meeting in Saudi Arabia with the Crown Prince?
No, the trip was not essentially for oil. The trip was about the Middle East and about Israel and rationalization of positions.
But some Democrats are angry that the Saudis backed an OPEC decision to cut oil output by 2 million barrels a day. The move will most certainly force gas prices in the U.S. even higher. Prices at the pump have risen almost 2.5 cents since yesterday, now averaging $3.89 a gallon. That, according to the AAA. And watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are down 257 points. NASDAQ futures 183 points lower. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Relief, thank the pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic. Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Northbound on 270 looks like a minor crash north of Manchester, but it is on the left shoulder, so traffic is starting to back up near Big Bend. That's our only big delay we're seeing. 55 north is pretty busy, Carondelet through Gasconade. 64 eastbound has a heavy pocket at Clarkson, at Spady, and 170 into Big Bend. 70 east still looks pretty good. Poplar Street Bridge is all right. No major headaches there. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Definitely a cooler day today with mostly cloudy skies at times and 61 degrees. It'll be about 60, give or take, at the ball game this afternoon. Skies will clear tonight and it will get cold. Frost advisory up for the entire metro area as temperatures will approach the freezing mark. We'll be in the mid-30s to near 40 degrees in metropolitan St. Louis, but some patchy frost certainly possible tonight. A high on Saturday of 63 degrees. The game on Saturday evening will be in the 50s. The high on Sunday, 72, and dry all weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert Meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president.
We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin God.
A lot of information for you over the next, the rest of this hour before we make way for Vic Porcelli at about 9:04. The St. Louis County Police officers, they have taken a side in the race for county executive. I'm going to tell you who that is right around 8:20. 8:35, something you are rarely ever going to hear on this radio station. Did Joe Biden actually get it right? Love to get your thoughts on that. We'll have that conversation then. Right now, let's get this. Hey, did you guys hear that it's possible that Hunter Biden may be kind of a scofflaw and malcontent? Did you know that?
I wasn't. I wasn't aware that there were problems.
Turns out he's a little bit of a scoundrel.
Huh.
Yeah. And so
Scallywag.
That's right. I'm trying to think of all the goofy names. New report says that there are possibly new legal worries for the president's son, Hunter. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson has the story that I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't get super excited about it if you want to see him go down for the big stuff.
Two sources with knowledge of the Hunter Biden investigation tell Fox federal agents have gathered enough evidence to bring multiple criminal charges against the president's son. It's now up to the U.S. attorney in Delaware, a Trump appointee, to decide whether or not to press charges. The Washington Post was first to report these revelations. Republicans on Capitol Hill pounced when asked for comment. Hunter Biden's attorney appeared to accuse the FBI of orchestrating the leak. Quote, "It is a federal felony for a federal agent to leak information about a grand jury investigation such as this one. We expect the Department of Justice will diligently investigate and prosecute such bad actors."
I love that response. What's your response to the reports that there is enough evidence to charge him with a crime? Tattletales. Nobody likes a tattletale. Jeez. All right. So Bill O'Reilly was on Newsmax last night responding to the news. And here's Bill's take.
Washington Post reporting the federal agents think that they have enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden with a tax charge and for lying on the gun permit, not indicating that he had a drug problem. You see how obviously what they're showing is that the charges that they're going to go after Hunter with have nothing to do with what he and his father's brother have been up to for all of these years, selling access to American politics and all the money that they've raised. They have these two charges. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a Trump prosecutor in Delaware.
Yeah.
So I don't think the fix is in. But it really doesn't matter because if Hunter Biden's charged even on these low-level charges, it's going to embarrass his father. And then when the Republicans win the House, which they should, there'll be all kinds of investigations into Hunter and then Vice President Joe.
I think that's an interesting perspective there. I mean, we're not talking about the international stuff here.
Right.
We're talking about stuff that for any of us would be scary because we'd be looking at jail time on this. But these are the lowest level things that they probably could get him for or might get him for. But O'Reilly's got an interesting point on this in that any indictment or criminal charges does have an outsized effect on not just the Biden administration, but the upcoming elections if it happens before Election Day.
Absolutely. I mean, there is going to be sort of this, I guess, of area of effect around that, but I don't think it rises to the level of what could be that I don't think they are going to investigate is the implication of Biden himself, of Joe Biden in some of the international schemes that are implied in a lot of the information that we've seen. So, basically they may be setting up Hunter essentially to take the minor fall in order to obfuscate from any larger implications that Joe might have been involved in something nefarious while he was vice president.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be a catalyst for the reason that they're going to take it a little further, especially if the Republicans do take the House. I mean, it says, let's see, he said, in order to purchase the gun, Hunter Biden would have had to answer no to the standard question. Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any other depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, which we know he has.
Right.
And he had the gun. There's proof of that in video. Mm-hmm. You and I would be in jail right now from that.
Yep.
So this is where I have the biggest problem. He's not even going to probably go to jail for any of this.
There's probably going to be a plea.
Yep.
There are probably plea negotiations happening right now.
Probation.
And so they let's say they plea this down, negotiate this down to something relatively minor, which, to be fair, any first-time offender, now he's probably a very experienced offender but not been prosecuted, probably would eventually get, with the power of the name Biden and your dad in the White House and a lot of pressure to make this go away 32 days before an election, it still is a factor for the Biden administration because I do think that the public takes this as more of a start of a process than it was disposed of. I think those all crucial independents look at this and say, well, they couldn't ignore it anymore. I don't think this ends or disposes of something. I think it starts it.
Really?
I think it does too. Yeah, I do. I agree because here's what happened. In 2020, people were deceived at this point. I mean, they were by everything that they believe. If you believed everything you heard in the media about it being disinformation, Russian information, and all that, then you're going to have to say to yourself, well, what about the rest of the stuff in that laptop?
What else are they lying about? Right?
What else are they lying about? We need to go farther in this situation.
The thing that I'm kind of concerned about, though, is the fact that it's the same FBI who was feeding to the social media places that to put out that idea that are doing the investigating right now. The fact that anything came out, to implicate Hunter, I think has to be a play because they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it was I want to say it was leaked to Washington. Was it Washington Post or Washington Examiner? One of the Washington papers that actually published it, which is where it's gotten going, everywhere on this. The fact that it was a Trump-nominated federal prosecutor. Everybody makes big deals about that. I don't know how big of a deal it is. If it were an Obama nominated federal prosecutor, I don't know if it would make George W. Bush. I don't know if it would have made as much of a difference at all. At some point, when the evidence and apparently the reports were saying is there, it's enough. I'm not going to use the word overwhelming because I haven't seen the files or the paperwork, but it doesn't look like there's much argument that the evidence is there that he broke multiple laws, whether it's taxes or the gun application or all that kind of stuff. So it's there. It's for the picking. All he has to do is press a charge. You don't even have to call a grand jury. It's there. But right now, the biggest concern is the political fallout from everybody involved, including the prosecutor right now.
And I firmly believe that others have all the information that they need from that laptop. I mean, I've actually seen video of people saying, "Yep, got it right here in my front pocket, just waiting." And I think they're waiting to take over Congress and say, "Okay, now let's get the investigations going on. Not just this, but everything that Joe Biden himself had to do with Hunter Biden, his brother, and Bobulinski, and all those other people involved, and actually do an investigation regarding those things."
I guess I just don't. I don't have any faith in the process.
I don't either.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
But how do you spin this if you're on the left? I mean, if you're trying to get your person elected to Congress right now, and you're a Democrat or you're on the president's team, how do you spin this? How do you try to get out from under this, even if they plead down to some, second degree, whatever tax charge? How do you spin this to the public? I mean, you can say, well, there's no charges filed in this thing. It's just this little thing that anybody could do. How do you spin that?
You deflect to say, well, we all have a family member who's not so great. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't necessarily mean that it implies that we are, that Joe Biden or that anybody related is blah blah. So you basically use Hunter as kind of the magnet for all the bad things. It's like, oh, he's such a miscreant over there, and it has nothing to do with us.
I mean, who doesn't wave around guns with Russian hookers? I mean, come on. We've all done it. We've all been there.
15 publications, 51 leaders in government at the time that this came out originally said, this is wrong, this is disinformation, it's Russian collusion, and you've got it. That has to have some bearing later on. I mean, if this does come out, they're going to have to say, wait a minute, y'all said this was wrong. It turns out to be true. So let's see what's else in the laptop.
I think that's where the public's going to go with it. I think they want to know more. I think they want to know the rest. I think that Republicans and I think conservatives should continue to point out one of the biggest things that should be pointed out was the outright censorship of the New York Post story.
Yes.
I mean, you keep pointing to that because there was nobody who was able to successfully defend that chain of events that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen because these guys are so good at and so prolific at saying deny your lying eyes and just listen to what we're telling you. And they've been getting away with for a long time. I don't know. I'm worried.
God, unfortunately, I totally agree with you.
And
it's terrible too.
And now I've got that Eagles song going through my head right now. All right,
Lion Eyes.
Lion Eyes. All right, the St. Louis County Police pick a side in the race for county executive. I'm going to tell you who that is in just about 4 minutes right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com.
Get up,
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Crews are working with our first crash of the morning, northbound on 270. It's just past Manchester. They're blocking the left lane. Traffic backed up to about Big Bend. Add 10 to 11 minutes to your morning commute. 44 East picking up heavy traffic, Lindbergh to Big Bend. Just add a minute or so. 55 North, it's about Germania now through Gasconade. Just add a couple of minutes to your drive time. Eastbound 64, we are busy at Clarkson, busy at Spady. The slow stuff hits you about east of McKnight, Brentwood Boulevard, in towards Big Bend. Just add a couple of minutes. 70 westbound past Lucas and Hunt. We've got a right lane closure due to road work already. This report sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here of 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Join Chris Arps and I and the St. Louis Young Republicans this Sunday for the annual Freedom Fest barbecue at the St. Louis County GOP headquarters at 11:30 a.m. Special guests, Attorney General Eric Schmidt, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, State Senator Bill Eigel, and more. Stand against tyranny, strengthen the conservative movement, enjoy tasty eats at the St. Louis Young Republicans Freedom Fest barbecue this Sunday. More information at newstalkstl.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Fox News commentary.
A Narcan vending machine in this state was emptied out just a day after it was installed. Can you guess the state? I'm Tommy Lahren. Find out next.
Smart businesses are always looking for ways to improve. Better work days can start with Cintas. Your dedicated Cintas service reps help make sure you have what you need when you need it. We'll stock your essential cleaning products, deliver hygienically clean workwear, inspect your fire extinguishers, and provide first aid and safety supplies. Cintas is with you every step of the way, so you stay a step ahead. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Is a medicine that rapidly reduces an opioid overdose, and if you hadn't guessed, it's been quite popular over the last 5 years. It's apparently so popular and so needed in Kentucky, the first Narcan vending machine was emptied out just a day after it was installed. Wow. Now, the idea for this vending machine came after the town's police chief saw a man be saved with Narcan after he overdosed in a bathroom, and he wanted to make this life-saving medicine available to those who need it without having to go to law enforcement or first responders. The Narcan in this first machine was completely free for the general public to take. The police department has already ordered more product to restock that machine. And while this vending machine sounds like a good idea, and it probably is, it's truly sad it's come to this in many cities and towns across the USA. The drug epidemic is spreading, and our southern border has a lot to do with it. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can listen to all of my hot takes at foxnewscommentary.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We need change in our country right now.
Live and local.
They clubbed us over the head for 2 years.
Yep. You want corruption? This is how we get corruption.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
America's talking to Fox News.
Fall means the return of chilly weather and spooky season for many people. What are your favorite autumn activities?
Fall is the best time of year.
We read leaves and pumpkin mouse.
Watching scary movies and decorating for Halloween, and I like making pumpkin goodies.
It's just so exciting to dig in the leaves.
Looking at the decorations families have done.
So my favorite fall activities are definitely taking my son pumpkin picking and apple picking and just kind of being outside, being able to play in the leaves. I'm really looking forward to taking my son up to go to Salem.
All of like the pumpkins and the spice and going to do different things with family and friends and just actually the cooler weather.
My favorite fall activity that I get to do every year is celebrating my wife's birthday, which is in October. I usually want to do something Halloween-y or autumn related, so I usually go along with it and don't complain to make her happy. But we do always plan that month to go pumpkin picking.
America's talking to Fox News.
Halloween-y.
Favorite, real quick, favorite fall activity, guys.
Favorite fall activity.
Yeah, then we'll do some news.
I don't know. I
think walks and riding the bike and
just being outside without dying.
Yeah, right. and it's a pain in the butt to do those leaves that they keep talking about that they love so much. But it is cool to be out in there and raking the leaves and
being around the fire pit.
Yeah, the fire pit. Yeah.
I'll say fire pit. Yeah, that's true.
And again, my wife makes, you guys have experienced this, my wife makes the best hot cider ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really good. Really good. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay. News update here. St. Louis County Police Association, we're talking FOP Lodge 111, sent out an announcement yesterday that they have endorsed Mark Mantovani for St. Louis County Executive.
Yeah. That's huge.
It really is. Okay. So I'm going to get into why that's or what their statement and their reasoning is, but to the point where as to why that's huge is because it takes a lot of guts to endorse the challenger to the guy who's up the line, your boss.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not an easy decision on this. Now, in the announcement that was put out, they say, what I should do here is I think I'm just going to read just a little bit of their announcement.
Mm-hmm.
They say the number one issue among St. Louis, the number one issue facing St. Louis County is crime. And according to FBI statistics, violent crime in St. Louis County has doubled over the past 10 years. But get this. Proposition P, passed in St. Louis County in April 2017, was 63% of the vote to support public safety and address the county's crime issue. First, as county chair and then as county executive, Sam Page has led the effort in diverting Proposition P funds from voter-approved purposes and to other areas of county government. And again, I'm reading from the announcement from the St. Louis County Police Association. Voters were promised Proposition P funds would be used to place 2 officers in a car in high-crime areas and to build police stations in North and South County. To date, that has not happened. That is a lot bigger, I think, than what a lot of people realize at the moment.
So I totally agree because I remember this when this Prop P thing passed, and I was being naive, Gabe, because back then I thought, well, you pass something and it works, right?
Yeah.
And I was really excited about the idea that passed, but it didn't happen.
And I voted against it specifically because I thought, well, actually, I knew I'm gonna claim it. I knew that this was going to happen. That they were going to divert the funds. That they weren't actually going to go towards public safety at all because there was nothing in the law that actually required that the money be spent that way. So it could easily have been diverted, and I saw it coming.
That sucks that you knew it.
I'm going back to the P.J. O'Rourke quote. Giving power and money to the government is like giving whiskey and car keys to teenage boys.
Yes.
So I think you saw that one coming, and so did 30% of the people who voted against it. All right, President Biden using the power of the pardon to do away with some, not all, some marijuana convictions. Fox News' Lauren Blanchard has more.
President Biden has wiped clean some simple marijuana possession convictions. His pardon only applies to federal convictions and those in Washington, D.C. It does not apply to other charges. It's also only for those who were legal residents when convicted. The president says the pardon will help many gain access to employment, housing, education, and even out racial disparities. The president called on governors to pardon similar state convictions. The Health and Human Services Secretary and Attorney General have been directed to review how marijuana is classified federally. It's a Schedule I drug, meaning a dangerous substance.
Okay, now at 8:35, I want to get your thoughts on this at 314-912-1019. Did President Biden get this one right? So let's do this one at 8:35, guys. Couple of comments from the president, and believe it or not, I'm going to say I agree with that.
Yeah, the POTUS pardons pave a path for potential public policy push.
You illiterate, alliteration person.
Yes. Oh, goodness. All right, we've got a health update around the St. Louis area, and it has to do with, as we know,
Monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox.
So the good news is that the numbers overall seem to be going down of the monkeypox cases. They're not very many. There aren't that many cases in the state of Missouri. The bad news is that where cases are going up is right here in the St. Louis area, because guys aren't getting the message, and you're still doing reckless, stupid stuff that I'm not going to describe on the radio.
Don't jump on the pile.
Don't jump on the pile, guys. Okay, so here's what's happening in
pile on.
That's right. In the city of St. Louis, there's now 52 confirmed and quote-unquote probable cases, which means we know what it is, but they haven't got the lab results back. As of Thursday, 52 cases. That is up from 36 2 weeks ago. In St. Louis County, there are 10 new cases that came in, up to 28. So of the 120-some-odd cases in the state of Missouri, which is meaning it's going way down, 2/3 of them are in St. Louis metro area and growing. So guys, stop being stupid.
Yeah, please.
I'm not, you live however you want to live, but stop being stupid. Really? Come on.
My question is, why is the government spending so much effort on this particular disease? It affects so few people.
Yeah, 124 in Missouri. I think there's over 1,000 in Illinois, but almost all of those are in Chicago. And so, I mean, there's been like 4,000 vaccinations done in the St. Louis area for this. I mean, that's fine. That's good. But this is behaviorally passed. 97% of these cases are among men. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the 3% of women are probably those who got a very unpleasant surprise from their boyfriends or their husbands who just had to admit something to them at home.
I get this feeling, and I could be totally wrong about it, but when they first brought it out, the monkeypox thing, it was almost like they were trying to send up a flare to see if anybody gets attracted to it, and more mandates happen. Maybe if they get on board with this whole thing with monkeypox, they can do more mandates. But it didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
No, and it's politically sensitive for the public health community, which is a very left-wing community. They're in a rough spot. I mean, they're in a rough spot politically. I get it. But the rest of us, and I have a feeling that even among my friends who happen to be gay, I think they would agree with everything we're saying right now is, don't be stupid. This thing could go away. Literally go away in the matter of a month if people just stopped being reckless. St. Louis Cardinals play some playoff baseball this afternoon. First pitch, very specifically, at 1:07 p.m. You can watch that on ABC, which is obviously Channel 30 here in town. They are playing the Philadelphia Phillies. The entire 3-game series, if it goes to 3 games, is at Busch Stadium.
That's an applause line.
Playoff baseball is here, baby. Go Cardinals. All right, just ahead, did President Biden get it right with pardoning pot convictions? We'll get your thoughts on that right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Then at 8:50, I've got the perfect idea for a Christmas gift for Vic Porcelli, guys.
Ooh.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and NewstalkSTL.com.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Months after St. Louis County teenager Tyree Sampson fell to his death from an Orlando thrill ride, the company that operates the attraction has announced it will be torn down. In a statement yesterday, Orlando Slingshot said that it will take down the 400-foot-tall Orlando free fall ride at Icon Park. Some residents in South St. Louis were asked to evacuate after a gas main was hit yesterday morning. The St. Louis Fire Department said a construction crew was working on a rain garden in the 4100 block of Louisiana Avenue when they hit a gas main and a large amount of gas began leaking. The Best of Missouri Market returns to the Missouri Botanical Garden today through Sunday and will feature 130 of the region's finest artisans, crafters, and food and beverage producers. There will also be live music and a 2-acre kids' corner. Anheuser-Busch announced yesterday the birth of 2 new Budweiser Clydesdale foals at the Warm Springs Ranch. A colt and a filly were born at the breeding and training facility in Boonville, Missouri. And in sports, the Cardinals face the Phillies at Busch today to open the playoffs in the best-of-3 wildcard round. First pitch is at 1:07 p.m. And in preseason hockey last night, the Blue Jackets shut out the Blues 7-0 in Columbus. The Blues have changed the start time of Saturday's preseason game against the Blackhawks to accommodate the Cardinals' playoff game. Saturday's Blues game will now start at 2 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
There's quite a bit of volume still 270 northbound between 44 and Manchester. They cleared a crash about 10 minutes ago there. Just give it a few minutes, it'll thin out. Otherwise, it's mainly road work we have to watch out for this morning. Our volume isn't that bad. 70 westbound past Lucas and Hunt, the right lane is closed for road work. And also 170 northbound past Page, they've got the right lane closed. Traffic's getting through there okay. And we've got the typical construction on 70 westbound west of 94 in the left lane. This report sponsored by InvisibleFence.com. Their mission is to keep pets happy and safe with their forever families. InvisibleFence.com's exclusive technologies make the containment systems the most advanced on the market, giving your pet freedom to enjoy their yard and giving you confidence in their safety. Visit InvisibleFence.com to schedule your free consultation. I'm Joe Sonderman, and that is the very latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Definitely a cooler day today with mostly cloudy skies at times and 61 degrees. It'll be about 60, give or take, at the ball game this afternoon. Skies will clear tonight and it will get cold. Frost advisory up for the entire metro area as temperatures will approach the freezing mark. We'll be in the mid-30s to near 40 degrees in metropolitan St. Louis, but some patchy frost certainly possible tonight. A high on Saturday of 63 degrees. The game on Saturday evening will be in the 50s. The high on Sunday, 72, and dry all weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Start a podcast for your business today with Epic STL Podcasts. Engage existing and potential customers, build trust in your brand, and drive traffic to your business. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
What happens next?
Democrats' reckless policies have stuck the American people with an inflation crisis, a border crisis, a violent crime crisis, and an energy crisis.
Happens right here.
We're going to get control of inflation.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now. at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
I've got the perfect idea for a Christmas present for Vic Porcelli, guys.
I'm really curious about this.
$850. I'm going to tell you what it is. Maybe we can you grab your wallet, I'll grab mine. We'll just see what we can come up with.
Secret
Maybe we can
revealed.
get this for him. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll do that around 8:50 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. It is 8:37 at the moment. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Ken Williams here. My name's Mike Ferguson, and I'm about to say something that has never been uttered on News Talk STL until today.
Okay.
I think Joe Biden got something right. What do you think, guys? Did Joe Biden get this right? I said it. I'm putting you in a position here.
Got me in there.
Did Joe Biden get something right, Gabe?
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, did Joe Biden get something right?
Well, it's like, okay.
Okay. Wait. Okay.
Maybe he did because of a certain thing, but because he did it for another reason.
Yeah, but the reasons, you could do the right thing for the wrong reason.
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
He
he
did
got
the right
one.
thing.
He got one
He
right.
did.
Okay, so he gets thousands wrong, but he got one right, and he says he wants us to be the beginning of something with the states, and I actually again say okay. So you've likely heard, and you're going to get updates on this throughout our information segments throughout the day, is that the president signed basically a mass pardon order. And this is got some parameters on it. Somebody who was convicted of a possession or of an illegal use of marijuana charge in federal court. Almost all marijuana possession and use charges happen in local and in state courts. But for those who were convicted in federal court, he has pardoned every single person with those charges. Now he didn't pardon others. And if it's an illegal immigrant, I thought this was interesting. If it's an illegal immigrant who is convicted, they're not covered by it.
Right.
And the only other area where this affected is the District of Columbia, because the federal government has jurisdiction over that. So he's within his constitutional duties to pardon everybody. Now, if you are convicted of trafficking, if you're convicted of some violence, that's not applicable here. This is just personal use and possession.
Simple possession, which has a level of amount that you can have. Like if it's more than that, it's possession with intent to distribute.
Right. That's not what we're talking about. But here's here's one thing the president had to say when he signed this mass pardon order.
No one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. It's already legal in many states, and criminal records for marijuana possession have led to needless barriers to employment, to housing, to educational opportunities.
314-912-1019. I've got another soundbite from the president here in a second. Think back. For us, it'd be, guys, when we were in college, if everybody we knew got caught and convicted with marijuana, would it have been just for them to have that conviction with the way it would have affected their lives?
No.
I can also say, would it be just for the way it would have affected our lives?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's, especially if, and what we are talking about is just for you guys to understand, if that's the only thing.
Right,
if that's the only
other
thing.
convictions are still there. So
Right.
if they messed up their life with other stuff, they still messed up their life.
If this was an add-on to a long
Right,
list of
right.
things that they already did, well, yes, it falls off, but they still have all those other things to
Right,
contend with, right?
right.
So it's not changing those people's lives. It is changing the lives of people, though, who, maybe they got that one time they were smoking a doobie in a truck, and the cop happened to roll by,
Right.
and they got them. That was the one infraction they've ever had in their lives, and now it's a stain on their records that they have to carry for the rest of their lives. This order by the president would wipe that out.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, somebody shouldn't be in jail for something like that. And this goes back to also, for me personally, when Trump was doing criminal justice reform, and that was a part of it, actually, that he was going to expunge those, not dealers, but if it was somebody who was just, using pot. And it's totally a good idea.
And what he's hoping to do is get the states to follow. So essentially what the president's trying to do with this is get everybody who was convicted of just possession or use on a personal level to have that expunged. Well, in state courts and in local courts, that could be the only thing that somebody's got on their record. I actually would love to see that. I could see J.B. Pritzker actually doing that. Governor Parson, I think, would be more hesitant to do that. I don't think he would do that, although Governor Parson has been open to the idea of legalizing recreational marijuana. I don't think he's wild about the idea, but I think he's more open than what he gets credit for.
Might be in my camp on it.
What's that again?
He might be in my camp on it.
Yeah,
where he's
yeah,
like,
I think so. It's going to
okay.
happen. Let's at least do it right.
Yeah.
And now here's another aspect of what the president said when he did this order. Basically, he put out a video announcement along with this order. And this particular clip, and again, these are things you're rarely ever going to probably hear on this radio station. Maybe never hear again me saying, I agree with everything I'm about to play from the President of the United States right now.
The federal government currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. So I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
That is something that should have happened decades ago.
To me, that is the biggest aspect of this whole thing. I think that the pardon thing is basically to add a little bit of a positional push behind that idea itself, and obviously there's a political implications. There's a campaign.
There's an election in 32 days.
We get that, but that aspect of it, the rescheduling of marijuana on the federal level, I think is the biggest, and I think the most important step towards understanding it to the level where its recreational usage, its regulation around the country would make the most sense, at least to guys like me.
And I think the government, they have to play catch up, because fentanyl right now, it's killed over 100,000 people in the last year and a half. And they have right now, currently as it sits, fentanyl is a lesser drug than marijuana
on the
schedule. Yeah. So it's like, okay,
it's
great
crazy.
that you're catching up with the time.
I mean, it's just insane. It's just insane. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you can point out and say, well, heroin comes from poppy seeds or poppy plants, not seeds, but poppy plants, after you process and process and process. Marijuana literally grows from the ground.
The leaf.
And people smoke that. Now, I understand the argument being made that the marijuana farms and the cultivation that's put into it now, you've got multiple strains. They're basically bioengineered and they're cross-pollinated to get certain strains. And it is more powerful than what was around when I was in college in, say, the early 90s.
Stuff.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard, that it's a lot more powerful. And some people are saying, well, no, don't think of it as the same marijuana, but it's still just marijuana.
Yeah, it is.
To me, it's insane that we're not looking at it the same way we look at alcohol. And the idea of having a criminal record, whether it's a misdemeanor or, God forbid, a felony, particularly a federal felony, for something like that is just nuts. So on this one case, and I think this is the one thing in the over year and a half we've been on the air, almost year and a half we've been on the air, that I think the president's been right about.
Yeah. Maybe the one place he's been right his entire career.
Right. Oh, man. So 314-912-1019. Just ahead, guys, I am telling you, I've got the perfect Christmas present for Vic Porcelli. I'll tell you what it is at around 8:49 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're thinning out pretty quickly. We had an earlier crash northbound 270 at Manchester, but that cleared about 15 minutes ago. There was just some heavy traffic coming up between 44 and Doherty Ferry, but even that's starting to look better. The bridge complex downtown is fine. We haven't had any issues there this morning. It's mainly just road work to watch out for. 70 westbound, you've got a lane closure at Lucas and Hunt, another one past 94 as well. East 270 at West Florissant, we've already got a lane down. It's just a little busy through there. This report is sponsored by the USA Network and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
Columbo and Katie.
President Biden will pardon all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possessions. We'll talk about this on Friday with Gabe Pfeiffer and get the weekend weather forecast.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
How is your car payment treating you? What if I told you you could make a free phone call right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. That's 800-764-2179.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here.
Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is Newstalk STL at 1019, 94.1,
and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Like us on Facebook at Newstalk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's Newstalk STL.
Okay, guys, I know it's a little early because I don't like talking about Christmas shopping or anything because it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and I hate it when the stores are putting out all the Christmas. But I came across the perfect Christmas gift for Vic Porcelli.
I really got to hear this.
Okay, we got to hear
curious.
this. I'm telling you that we'll need to just see. I got a few bucks in my pocket. We'll see whether you guys can too. So it's a part of history I think that the Vic would really, really love.
How would you like to ride like a boss? A Cadillac Escalade driven by Tony Soprano in the HBO mob drama is up for sale. The white 2003 luxury SUV offered by Import One Motorsport in Pipersville, Pennsylvania has an asking price of $175,000, but the seller is open to other offers. According to documentation signed by the late James Gandolfini, the vehicle was featured in the final 3 seasons of the show. The Escalade has about 111,000 miles on it. It's fully loaded with leather trim, tri-zone climate control, and a Bose sound system. Gandolfini's signature is on the glove compartment door, the back of the driver's headrest, and on the driver's sun visor. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
I mean, come on, Tony Soprano's Escalade from The Sopranos.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, Vic, hey, Vic.
Hey, oh, dang it. I think you ruined the surprise.
Now the surprise is run.
How did I know this was going to be a mafia thing?
How did you know?
How did I know it was going to be a mafia thing?
Okay, but if somebody offered it, you'd proudly drive that around.
You bet your ass. The funny thing, all that stuff they mentioned that's in the car.
Yeah.
You know they didn't mention GPS because Tony never wanted GPS in his car because they didn't want people to know where it was.
Exactly. That makes perfect sense. on that. But yeah, all right, Vic, we've been saying, basically once an hour through the morning, we had to say something we never thought we would say on this radio station, not just the show.
Kind of hurts too.
I think Joe Biden got it right on this one thing. He's wrong about basically everything else.
Yes.
But I think he's right about this one thing.
Yep. It's so funny how, the election's 32 days away, and then here comes this announcement. So,
no kidding.
I'm voting for Biden.
What are you
man.
saying? What are you saying, Vic? You mean to think that he would ever do something like that?
No, never,
Come on now.
never.
I'm gonna
Joe Pander?
I'm going to suppose that somebody who's going to change their vote because of something on marijuana is exactly the kind of voter that would forget and not get around to voting on election day. They would be about Thursday afternoon and going, "Oh, dude, was that this week? Oh, man.
That's funny. That's so funny that's
Yeah.
probably true. Yeah, we got to vote for Biden.
And
Hey, is that a burrito?
Two things can be true at the same time. Is it pandering 32 days from an election?
Yes.
Yep. Is it also the right move? Yep.
Yes.
Was it also the same day that we found out that Hunter Biden may face charges?
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. At least on I say low level stuff. It's all perspective compared to what they could get him on. What they're talking about
What
charging
we saw him do.
Yes, that's low level stuff. But
Yeah.
for any of us, this would be scary as hell if we were looking at tax and gun charges.
I'm going to prison.
But but that is low level stuff compared to what they could get him.
Of course.
Oh my God.
It's all perspective. Live in the big time, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, okay, so you guys are mentioning that Joe Biden was finally right about something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't believe I'm going to say this either. Today's show actually covered the story this morning
Of?
Hunter Biden.
No way.
They did.
Yeah.
Today's show.
Yeah.
Huh.
How about that?
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, well, did they apologize for it? Like, how did they do? You know what I mean?
So Haley, what's her name? Haley something?
I don't know.
Haley, whatever her name is.
I leave that up to you to watch that stuff.
I watch it so you don't have to.
Right. Thank you.
She was like, but it doesn't really mean he'll get charged.
Oh, okay. See,
You know.
I was like, okay.
I mean, who hasn't snorted lines and waved guns with Russian hookers? We've all been there.
Come on now.
I mean,
the
come
question
on.
of them being underage? Oh,
Jeez.
that's just, you can't tell that.
I mean, the crack rock wasn't that big.
And it's funny, you go on Twitter, I went on Twitter immediately when I heard this, and Hunter's trending, and the libs are like, oh yeah, but Orange Man bad. You know what I mean? Like, why isn't Trump being investigated for this and investigated for that? And I'm like, oh, why don't you shut up?
Yeah, because there haven't been any investigations of Trump, right?
At least he didn't have an insurrection.
They investigated him up the ass for how long, right?
Yeah, for nothing.
And nothing is stuck because nothing has happened. And now Hunter could be charged, and he probably won't, by the way, right?
No,
Let's be realistic here.
I think they're going to plea it down to something.
Yeah, he'll have probation and a fine.
He's not going
guaranteed.
to jail.
It'll be probation and a fine, regardless of what it is.
He's not going to jail because his last name's Biden. But if his last name's Porcelli, Pfeiffer, Ferguson, Williams, he's going to jail. But he's not going to jail.
Nobody F's with a Biden.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Except OPEC.
Except OPEC.
All right, by the way, OPEC Plus, what's that? Their new streaming service?
Yeah, that's the premium subscription.
Right.
OPEC.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you can
But that
have
joke
oil
already
and then you
happened
can have oil plus.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Jeez.
I just can't believe some of the things you read and you hear. And, Joe Biden, I mean, did you hear that we're Armageddon? We're closer to Armageddon now than we were since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, are we looking at the what's it?
Nuclear
the
clock?
doomsday clock or whatever?
That was Biden himself.
What was he talking about?
He's talking about Putin using nuclear weapons.
Oh.
And he said, we're closer to Armageddon right now than we were during the Cuban Missile
Boy,
Crisis.
that's
the way to comfort the country, right?
That's good.
That'd be a nice deflection, wouldn't it?
That's a good way to stabilize out the region. Thanks, Mr. President.
Hey guys, we got to come up with something to deflect from everything wrong in my administration. Let's see.
But just the
nuclear.
fact, when you look to your leader, right? What do you look to your leader for? To comfort you, to make you feel better. Armageddon's coming. Right. Thanks, Joe.
Oh,
as he wanders off into a corner someplace.
Right.
Did you guys see Kanye with Tucker last night?
We were just talking about that in the break.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm like, come on, would we please stop making crazy people famous? I mean, I get he says some stuff sometimes when I don't know if it's when he's in a good spot that he agrees with. I'm like, come on, the dude's nuts. Just come on. Come on, Tucker.
Listen. He's influential.
That's scary to me.
Well, no,
but it's
but
true.
what he's saying right now, could be the things that we want, the black population to hear. Gabe, I mean, you tell me.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, there's a lot of conversation that surrounds Kanye. Whenever he shows up, he creates a lot of buzz. I don't know if it's necessarily positive buzz, because the thing is, the people who are positively affected by that stuff, they're not going to say it out loud.
Somebody watching him last night saying that Margaret Sanger started Planned Parenthood to kill off the black population.
Which is accurate.
Of course it is. But, I mean, were people watching that and saying, oh, my God? Were black people watching it and saying, wow, the Democrats are evil people. And he mentioned the KKK, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing is that 2 weeks from now, he could say something completely flipping. I'm like,
as long as he says it 32 days from now.
Yeah, there you go. After
within
32
days.
I saw this special 2-part exclusive interview with Conway West. I'm like, Tucker Carlson, good God, come on, man.
Well, first of all, it's Ye West.
It's what?
It's Ye.
He started out as Kanye West.
Right.
Then he just wanted to be Kanye.
Okay.
Now it's just Ye, and soon it'll just be Ye.
Yeah, that's normal behavior right there. That's
West.
So let's all do that same thing. Okay, so what's coming up at 9:04?
Well,
let him talk.
This just in. Mike Ferguson buys Vic Porcelli and Escalade.
Hey!
Yeah, we're going to report on that. Just park it right in my driveway
There
if
you
you don't
go.
mind. I'll put the VAT plates on it. What a show today, my God. Dr. Susan Pendergrass from the Show Me Institute. Frank Catanzaro from the Young Republicans about the big barbecue this weekend. Jay Ashcroft, Susie Moore, Paul Cook, Wheel of Audio Clips, and we'll remember Judy Tenuta.
Oh, that's right. She did pass away last night. Yeah, I remember.
I had a little moment with her in the past.
Her and her accordion. You had a moment with the Love Goddess?
I did.
Oh, I got to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, that's Vic Porcelli coming your way.
She's a petite flower.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable